Tales from a Seven-City Empire. The Book of Gimmel. Volume 1. Welcome. These tales of horror are brought to you by Jackie Gardis Productions. Put more magic into your life. Thank you, and welcome to the world of the Seven-City Empire. I must warn you. These stories are more than just stories, they are a doorway into another realm, a world that is locked deep within the darker side of your imagination. If you find that your surroundings are changing, that is, the spirits of these tales have awakened, and they are becoming more familiar with your environment, then you may want to consider stopping, calling a friend, and quickly inviting them over to share these stories, because one thing is for sure, you may not want to find yourself alone. Doors will open. Welcome to Tales from a Seven-City Empire. Beware, we have warned you. Now, on to our tales.
The seventh. Into the Black Teferith. Part 1.
Personal entry. A report about the outskirts. City Kingdom time. 6:53 TCMT. Thames Crossing, morning time. Royal City. Thames Crossing, before the rising of the first light warriors. City Grid. Tier 3. Quadrant 3. Sector 3. Outskirts Residential Zone 3, last sector before the boundaries. Rain is always a good sign for the Empire. It shows that the mystic eye of Ra still shines upon the kingdom. For these cities always hid their dark tales, harboring a new night, waiting for its next victim to be claimed. It didn't take long, another gruesome death on the outskirts of the city. The last habitable zone in the third tier before the unprotected boundaries of the graveyard, a 7-mile-long stretch of barren land before entering the veiled forest. It is a place where no one goes, unless you are already dead, hence the name. Graveyard. Many in the kingdom would rather not think about what happens in the outer city zones of our wondrous empire. In their eyes, we are still innocent, even after the blood has been washed away, but sometimes the rain can bring out more dirt. Her Majesty deems her empire to be a priority, and henceforth, our assignment in the poorest of the imperial ghettos. For many in this area, our arrival is strange, and not without notice, but we move about the location as imperial law permits. If only those poor fools knew why we were here, they would welcome our intrusion into their bleak world. Looking around the almost empty streets, all I could see was the running about of peasants trying to finish their daily needs before the fall of the nightly terrors of the veiled forest. Me, and my team, stood out like a beam of light in the darkest of rooms, their public eyes rolling over us, trying to figure out what would be our next course of action. As for me, the only thing I could think about was taking my childish girl of a frame back into the RPG transport, and laying down as our teams prepared for another battle with the night. Entering my small confined room, a home away from home, I fall upon one of the cots, closing my eyes almost immediately. I was accustomed to these missions, random deep deployments into the third tier. Forever on the mission of hunting down renegade demons, our unit was continually on cases focusing on those who were stupid enough to wander past the protective walls of the Reaper Zone. For once they are caught and possessed by the evil that dwells there, it becomes our duty to locate, contain, and for the most part, eliminate. Always assigned to mobile labs on wheels that moved about the 7 cities, we made our presence known, and felt by many. We could be seen coming into the area like the Queen's Caravan, elite units of the Royal Police Guards. We built our reputation, and used it like a shield when we faced the darkness hidden from our imperial citizens. Our department held secrets that even some of our own officers didn't know. They call us the Possession Knights, and we watch the Reaper Zones for any demonic incursions into the kingdom. We never rest, and we are always on watch. Our department within the Royal Police Guard consists of 3 branches, as everyone knows: Thames Crossings, Rio Gaia, and last but not least, Ozogara City. These 3 Reaper Zones are why we are here, and why we can never waver from our resistance. Quickly, I am brought back from my thoughts, as I hear sounds near me, arousing my attention. Turning my head, I see several RPG officers moving past my door. They wave to me, apologizing for the disturbance, but I know they're kind, still young, and vibrant, fresh meat for the demons. I turn back over, saying nothing, as they slowly continue down the corridor, voices echoing their conversation. I had considered many times handing in my resignation, but my orders and duty availed me to keep my emotions refrained and controlled. Strange, I am always ready for a mission, but this one seemed to be more than just a fancy investigation. I felt something new, maybe boredom had finally set in. But before I could consider the issue further, there came a knock. Why do I always get disturbed, when I don't want to be disturbed? Enter. I yell, standing up in bed, anger in my voice. Slowly, A small timid woman walks inside, dropping her papers on the floor. She looks at me with whimpering eyes, and the face of the newly hired, fresh out of the IPA, and ready to serve. "Please, come on in," I say, this time, less threatening. "How can I help you, officer?" As the aide attempts to pick up the papers, scrambling to answer, I assist in her task as I whisper an incantation that causes the reports to dance back into their rightful order, and then, jumping into her hand. She is short to amazement as she slowly rises from the floor, speaking in a humbled tone. "Thank you for that gesture of kindness. Those at my graded level in the RPG ranks rarely get it from the other officers. But duty calls, and I am sorry to interrupt you during your rest period, but I have a message for you. I thought that it was important for you to see it." Still groggy from the lack of rest, I stand from the bed, as she passes the report to me, her hand shaking a bit. I take the folder, and say in a calm tone, "Besides for officer, what's your name?" "Oh, my," she says, frantically trying to recover. "Officer Jenny, Ensign, First Class." "Good, nice to finally meet you, Officer Jenny," I say as we both smile. She is young, fresh to adventure, and lacking of knowledge in this field. She will do just fine in pursuing such a dangerous career. Many others will follow her, as I did, this time hopefully without mistakes, or regrets. But when you are an Imperial citizen, a child of the third tiers, you learn to find ways of surviving. All of us did, and she will too. I then say to the ensign, "Next time, don't be so shy, and don't be concerned that you are new to this division. My team and I are 12th level Royal Police Guards. Graduated to the Royal Police Department of Demonic Possessions and Recovery, or for lack of a better term, the Possession Knights, our public title. Keep close to me, and you won't have to worry about a thing except for making me angry, understood?" "Yes." "And very clear, no mistakes," the young lady answers, as she salutes me in a formal fashion, normal for those just out of the Imperial Police Academy, still green under the nose. She'll get out of that soon enough, I think to myself as she exits the room, leaving me to my thoughts. Rare I have to find myself alone with them. The jurisdiction of our department fell under the shadows of the Golden Circle, since the use of first-party magic was authorized for police business. We, those chosen officers, were taught and given the ability to use alpha-class incantations. We became the esoteric power sources defined by the rules of the kingdom. The benefits were beyond measure, for it gave those officers a chance to join the ranks of the Golden Circle, which also included an upgrade in social status. The pioneers, or the poor, that were trapped in the third tier, such as I, and many others, understood that this was a bridge out of the ghettos, into the suburbs of the second tier, as a sir, and possibly, the first tier, if we mastered ourselves in the esoteric ways of the Golden Circle. Royalty was impossible, of course, but it left us a chance to seek a better life out of the darker parts of the 7 city kingdoms. Few positions within the empire allowed for such upward mobility, and even fewer in the ghettos, but nothing comes without a price. We put ourselves in harm's way as we guarded the kingdom from demonic incursions. Royal decree within our organization set up several security posts stationed around the perimeters of the Reaper zones in all 3 imperial cities. We were the first, and last line of defense against the evil that lay hidden within these dangerous areas of the empire. Few came to be in my position, veterans within the Possession Knights, still alive, and on the force. The truth that many did not know, held as whisper in the public ear, was that those in our ranks would find it in rare circumstance to rise within a position that would bequeath a call to the royal court, and an initiation into the Golden Circle. For most of us lucky enough to make it this far, and survive, we just grew old, and died in the line of duty, or retired. In any case, it assured that only a rare amount of us would be admitted into the Golden Circle. This became a privilege handed to those whom they considered loyal enough to jump the quickest to their master's heel, until they became the master themselves, no better than the teacher. I open the report given to me by my assistant, looking over it with great precision. Then I see it, the message that I had been waiting for, buried deep within the code of the transmission. Friends they had said in their many encounters, but to me, still strangers, and stranger than ever, they wanted to see me, like I had said, I had a dangerous job. Panic is an emotion that is best left in the privy of those more in control of their desires. My reactions are quiet, smooth, and without the notice of attention. All things in this arena are a test, I understand this, and apparently, it was time to see if I could match up with the best, or fail in the process. Either way, I stood before a crossroads. In fragments of contemplation, I could not ascertain the intentions behind the secret hands that were arranging my meeting, but they were enough to let my superiors know that it was important. I had been chosen to meet with them in their location, somewhere that I never thought that I would go. I suspected those in the Golden Circle knew the nature of my contact, and they had deemed it most important. It was then that I had received extra training in the mystic arts. Over their long and tedious week, I have been intently waiting for this rendezvous with my mysterious contact, and I still don't know what the mission is about. My superiors even took me off of my regular duty to prepare for this reassignment. I wasn't really concerned when they did that, but when I found out that I was being transferred to the old Tokyo quarter of Ozogara City, then I became nervous. Everyone knows only one group controls that sector, and it's not the RPG, nor the Golden Circle. It's too dangerous. Since the beginning of the Empire, even before the first queen came to rule, they existed. Guardians of the kingdom, strong enough to hold back the evil. They control secrets, spells, and magic long since forgotten. Some say that they are the remnants of the tribe of Tefrith, but the monks of this organization keep a silent oath, as they answer to the queen directly, and it is she, only she, that they bend their knees. They have been given supreme autonomy over the old Tokyo quarter, for everyone knows that the magic in these parts attracts certain energies that grant the Tokyo quarter delicate care, and a leniency found nowhere else in the empire. Heart of the esoteric Asian underground, House of the Hundred-Hand Dragon, they supply much of the magic used within our kingdom. The rules in these parts are not the same as those elsewhere in the empire. To enter into here, is to leave the 7 cities, and to enter into a world of wonder and delight, as well as nightmares that will rip your soul apart. What made the old Tokyo quarter so unique was its past associations with the esoteric. Magic in this locale has always been well rooted. Some of the most powerful spells and incantations come from these narrow streets of ancient folklore, stories from before the kingdom. This gave the atmosphere its own unique magical nature that eventually became the very thing that caused a Reaper Zone to manifest, engulfing the whole city sector. It is the only place in any of the Imperial First Tiers to claim such an event. Unlike the other areas in the kingdom that had survived the surge of Reaper Zones, this location could never be fully cleansed, and interestingly resides near the Pyramid Palace. It still holds the markings of deep infestation, black magic, shadows and sinister, mixing with the unknown factors of darkness, and vile. Known almost as isolationists in the kingdom, few people ventured into these rare places, a kingdom within a kingdom. I was about to experience something that most in the Imperium could not speak of. I was about to enter into an area of our 7 cities which took everything I knew and threw it out of the window. I was the new kid on the block, green about the gills, and yet it was I they had requested. The Golden Circle had explained that I was ordered specifically to go make contact with one of their representatives. The Order of the Seraphim Dragon, esoteric priests, holy knights of the Shrine of Protected Light, It is they who wage a daily battle with the many demonic forces that try to gain entry into the empire. The neighborhoods, buildings, and city streets mask the shadowy existence of doorways and secret parts of our kingdom. I found myself becoming anxious, and rightfully so, because it is common knowledge that if you want to survive in these parts, then for damn sure, you better know your magic, or best believe me, you will end up dead. Royal City. Ozugara. The first tier, downtown district. Old Tokyo Quarter. The Dragonfire Royal Hotel, Spa, and Suites. Personal Diary of Bessie Cranech. Date of the 11th, month of the Taurus. City Kingdom Time. 2033 OCNT, Ozugara City, nighttime. Twilight into the evening is always a breath away from excitement. I found this to be most true during my patrols. I could have done for a little boredom, even some sleep would have been welcomed, but in Ozugara City, nothing rests. Being a liaison between the Golden Circle and the Order of the Seraphim Dragon became a difficult task to say the least. I became an outsider in my own kingdom, but this was not my kingdom. This place was a nightmare, held in the midst of a dreaming paradise. There was a reason why the imperial citizens within the old Tokyo Quarter kept to themselves. So many secrets to shroud, the inner sanctum known to the locals as Yomi Okachi, became a world unto itself, with many foreboding mysteries. For I was the novice in these parts, and they knew it. I looked out of my window, down to the streets below as imperial citizens went about their daily activities, rain pouring from the sky. I find myself reflecting upon the first time when I arrived here. Memories begin to encircle my vision, taking me to the day of being lost, trying my best to follow a psychic map that led me down various roads, and eventually, to this hotel. Funny, I've always been intrigued about Ozugara City, but as I entered the old Tokyo Quarter, I could feel eyes upon me. I knew then, and there, that I was out of my expertise, for everything now was different. Here, in this place, a person could become a powerful magus within the empire. Unfortunately, only admission into the Golden Circle would give them the ability to command real authority beyond the confines of the old Tokyo Quarter. And it is here that the problem is revealed, evolving into a platform of cold war between these two factions. Struggles of political conquest had manifested two divisions within the Imperium, those here, who held great mystic power and prestige, and those in the Golden Circle, holding opposing points of view, that is, when it came to who wields the power in the Empire. The Goldens, or the Royals, have full reign over the Imperium, except in the boundaries of the various kingdom states in our 7 cities, most notably, the old Tokyo Quarter. For in this sovereignty, a network of wizards, mages, and sorcerers controlled the government, all under the guidance of the SOPL, the Shrine of Protected Light, the masters who directed the actions of the Order of the Seraphim Dragon, my contacts who I came to meet. They alone controlled this location, and answered only to the Queen, herself, a kingdom within a kingdom. As the light of Tefrith stood overhead, I reviewed the message that was sent, claiming that someone from the SOPL would come around to collect me. I was being invited not to the main offices, but somewhere else, and why? A knock came to my hotel door, causing me to come back into focus. I immediately think to myself, if only I had been able to stretch out on that bed. I had recently found my tastes becoming more comfortable with the luxuries of the first tier. For quite rare is the chance that someone as I, from the third tier, to find themselves being draped in such eccentricities, especially in Ozugara City. With a grunt of disappointment, I gracefully open the door to find nothing outside in the hallway. Another test, they never change. My reports of them were correct, as I turn around to see a woman laying down upon my bed, stretching out. She looks up at me with a smile, and says, You weren't actually planning on using this, were you? She instantly rises from the bed, floating as if some corpse from a coffin, displaying the mastery of her craft in the arts of the mystic sciences. What I know can only slightly compare to her knowledge of the occult. With ease, she glides above the floor over to me, landing on her feet, and then with a long pause, she stares at me, and says, "Before we can proceed, I must first be honest with you. I am not here as a member of the SOPL, in fact, I have been sent from a greater god." "Excuse me," I say, backing up. "What is going on here?" "Oh my," answers the woman as she steps closer, her eyes almost glowing with energy. "And may I add, that I am more than a messenger, you will see, and yes, you are correct, that bed does feel good, and my dear, after what I do to you human, trust me, you're going to need it. Who owns your allegiance?" I demand, as I prepare myself for combat, pulling a sword from my sleeve. The woman laughs hysterically, snapping her fingers, reciting magical incantations causing the room to become vertigo. I am frozen in my spot as she reveals her true form, morphing into a beast of the lower realms, tentacles stretched, her mouth widening with teeth, ready to kill, and black bile, dripping like spit. Down into a trance she cast, as I became dizzy, her dark eyes staring upon me, as I firmly grip my sword, aimed at the demon that grins, licking lips, moving closer. In all of my experience, I have never seen such a creature as this. I charge with great force, dodging a blow, only to turn and see its sharp claws gouging a hole into the wall behind me, causing it to melt. I wait for it to strike again, knowing it will come straight on, facing me directly. I raise my weapon, as it lunges forward. In a dance of chaos and struggle, we push each other away, falling to the ground. I try to catch my balance, turning my sword around, as I flip over a table, causing it to break, shards of glass skidding across the floor like diamonds and ice. Quickly, I recite an incantation, suspending the broken fragments from its movements. I then make a gesture with my hand, compelling the glass to speed towards my enemy, piercing the creature deep within its tissue. The beast howls in a mad rage, boxing me into the corner. I am trapped. What manner of demon is this that can take so much punishment? Then I notice that the wounds inflicted earlier by me have already healed. Immediate regeneration, now I am in trouble. And with that thought, the creature faces off as it prepares for the kill. We glare into each other's eye, waiting for the outcome. I was born for this, and now, I will die for the same. In that moment, the beast and I lunge towards each other, ready for our final confrontation, only to be caught off guard as several individuals rush inwards, draped in strange garments, surrounding us both in a circle. Magic never before seen encompasses the room in brilliance and delight. In the end, I look up to find the demon burnt upon the floor, dead. Its stained ashy carcass, delicate to the touch while breaths of air move about causing it to disperse like dust. I immediately place my hand over my mouth, hoping to avoid breathing in the remains of the creature's foul stench. Lifting myself from the floor, I take charge of my senses as I am approached by several people in uniform. They are dressed in black, with full awareness that they are the ones in charge. In the midst of the crowd, the room is locked down by several members of the Order of the Seraphim Dragon. They move with the strangers in an unknown fashion, their actions very familiar. Then, from behind, I hear a voice. "You're good, real good. I have seen some interesting defense moves in my time, but yours was most invigorating, and best of all, you're still alive." I turn to find a woman, dressed as the others in black. Her demeanor is strict, but yet casual in nature. She slowly walks around me, her eyes touching every part of my aura. I knew that I was being scanned, but by whom? I stare into her eyes. trying to block the invading telepathy. She smiles, and says, "You're good, I like that. I knew we had made a good choice, like I said, you're still alive." "I don't understand," I say, asking with assertiveness. "But I am sure that you can explain it to me in some fashion." The woman smiles once more, as we are both interrupted by a man walking towards us. He looks at the woman, their eyes passing secrets. It is at that moment that the woman departs into the crowd and the man begins to speak. "RPG Possession Knight, Lieutenant Commander, Bessie Kranich. My name is Takashi Kumata, your new liaison from the SOPL. It is a pleasure to meet you. We are sorry about our introduction, but it took some time to upgrade your status, but under these circumstances, we wanted to make sure that you could survive our part of Ozugara. Life in these sections of the Empire can be quite unpredictable. We didn't want to invite you formally into our organization, that is, until we knew that you were the one that we had been searching for." "Okay, I see that. But why me, and here?" I quickly demand. The man motions for one of his aides. He then says, "We have acquired new accommodations for you, with less of a risk factor." The aide hands me keys, directions, and something else which I find puzzling. I look up at the man, and say, "And what's this?" "It will mask your energy field," he answers, looking around the room. "And to give you the ability to blend into the scene unnoticed. You are going to need it around here, well, temporarily, that is until." "Until what?" I ask, my patience now tested, as I look around, still trying to make some sense out of this. "Because they know that you are here," he answers, ordering the aide to return to the crime scene. "Who are they, and again, why am I here?" I demand, anger heard in my voice. The Golden Circle is going to want a report from me, and all I can tell them is that the SOPL has been giving me the runaround for almost a week. All that I have done is a mad dash between your office and back, waiting for someone to get in contact with me about my assignment. So tell me, representative, what is my assignment? The man turns to walk away, leaving me with these words. "Did you not think that others would eventually find out your secret and location, my dear? And to make things worse, that secret is now known to the enemy, but unlike they, we will help you." Ha, don't give me that. Everyone knows that help is something that comes with a price, and nothing in this kingdom comes without a price. And here is something else to chew on. I have no secrets, except that I am real sick, and tired of the games. But if I did have a secret, why the hell would I trust you with it, or better yet, my life? Stopping in mid-step, the man turns towards me, and says, "Because, my dear, you are alone, and without a friend in this empire. All that you have is us, which in my book, means that you don't have any choice in the matter. At least, that's the message that your dear departed mother left us with before she died at the hands of a demon assassin." If not for the arrogance of his words, I might have questioned him more about how he knows so much about me. He can see the heated debate in my eyes, knowing that the fires within me have been surged. From that moment, I walk out to an adjacent room to find some comfort, only to be followed by the man. He closes the door, raising his hand in a truce, and then, in a discreet tone, says, "Yes, we know how she died, and why you dedicate your life to killing the evil in the night. But of course, that's why we are all here, to keep the kingdom safe from all outsiders. But that's something that you have a special kinship, now isn't it, my dear, those elements that exist outside of our kingdom? I am sure that you are familiar with this term, or better yet, it is a part of what you are, this hidden secret that hides upon the lips of those within the 7 cities. We here in the Tokyo Quarter know that they are real, all of them, no matter where they come from, other societies, other realms, but not of here, some not even from our level of consciousness, and for sure, not of this kingdom. They come from places beyond the unity gates. We call them outer realms, chariots of fire, those who come to visit us from other worlds, other realms. Your father, the one that you never knew, and your mother were both realm riders, not of this kingdom, as you two are, my dear. I hold my breath, discerning if he is telling me the truth, or a lie. I stand, waiting for his next response, not knowing what to expect. He slowly walks towards me, placing his hand upon my shoulder, and says, "Dear child, you never knew. And more depressing, I must be the one to tell you. I am sorry. So sorry. The last thing they told you, was to run, and hide. You did it so well that you had forgotten about a part of yourself, buried deep, but that luxury is now gone, and not just for you, for all of us. Your mother, and your father, like so many others, traveled here to help our kingdom to prepare for the coming day. Their last mission ended up with your father dead, and your mother on the run from the enemy. The SOPL hid her well, moving both of you from place to place, but in the end, she felt that she had a better chance being on her own. Your birth had complicated things, and it gave the enemy an advantage when tracking her. We just didn't have the magic to stop them from finding her. I am sorry. What do you mean, advantage? I ask, confused. I can see the mark of displeasing news on his face, as he answers reluctantly. People from your realm exhibit a very powerful chikara, or life energy, that is easy to track, if you know what you are looking for, and trust me, her demon assassins knew exactly what to look for, and now they had two of you. Her spells kept you guys off of their radar for a long time, but their mission was too important to just give up. And as you grew, so did your power levels, until one day, she could no longer hide you, or her, from their seeking eyes. That's when she contacted us again, but as you know, we were too late. So she did the only thing she could do. She cast her final spell, and used all of her life force to create a masking incantation to hide you, until you were ready. They had her trapped, and under the gun. She knew that they were going to kill her on the spot, and you as well, so instead of both being murdered by them, she sacrificed herself to protect you. She died to make a miracle, and for your mother, I would call that a victory. I know this to be a fact, because I am speaking to that miracle, right now. I sit there in silence, not knowing how to respond, and with annoyance, I say. Look, the death of my mother wasn't easy for me, orphans in the third tiers never do, but I would appreciate it that you leave her memory intact with at least some type of dignity, so please don't disrespect her with lies. The man pulls from his pocket a small item which I hadn't seen since I was a child, a memory crystal. Placing it in my hand, it starts to tingle, and vibrate. With tears coming from my eyes, the man speaks, his tone gentle and warm. Your mother sent it to me just prior to her passing away. It appeared before me without warning, and it carried a message from her, as well as instructions on keeping you safe. The SOPL has always been in the background, helping you. But there is someone here better than I to explain that. From an unknown tongue, in language long since dead, the man begins to recite incantations held in mystery, and awe. Then, from my side, a light breeze moves past my face, carrying with it a familiar voice, the voice of my mother. In a blaze of light, and brilliance, she appears, as if she had never left. Her age was no more than when she was a young adult, quite different from the woman I had called a parent, but yet, still her. She moves forward, causing me to become startled by her presence. The woman stops, holding out her hand in a gesture of peace. Her intentions are to cause me no harm, only to listen, as she begins to speak. Hello my little one, it is good to see you again. I wish that it could be in better circumstances, but as you understand, I have departed this consciousness, and have become one with creation. I realize that you are startled, for you haven't seen magic such as this since you were a child. I had told you that it will always be a way for you to know that it is I in truth, and not a lie. My dear, we have so many enemies and few who can truly be trusted. But as you know, what you see before you holds the temporary remains of my soul, a replica of myself, for there are things I still wanted to tell you, things in the way that I had justly desired, so now I exact what the enemy tried to take, my final words to you. These people who I have entrusted with your identity will help you become more than you have ever been. As you now are aware, I and your father are not of this realm, nor the Empire. We come from a place far beyond this state of consciousness. We were sent here as guardians of an ancient knowledge that must be preserved from the touch of darkness. You, my dear, are a great blessing that can be bestowed upon this kingdom for the coming of a new age of light and divinity. Be warned, those of the lower realms wish to stop the coming of the fifth kingdom of light. The protective spell that I had placed upon you as a child will someday be too weak as mine is now. Eventually, it will not be able to hide your presence from those that were sent by the null death, to hunt down, and destroy you. But the integrity being known, you will be a hand unto the Infinite One, a hero unto the people of this kingdom, helping to preserve their humanity. I cannot promise that it will not be a struggle for you, it always has been. We are not from here, this is not our realm, but our task is not measly, for we are the guardians of this kingdom sent to prepare the way. All of the information that is required is within the scrolls. Study them well, for they are the key to great knowledge and wisdom. They will teach you about our people, our home realm, but most of all, it will teach you about yourself, and the power that is within you. The man that you see before you is Takashi Kumahta. Trust him, and only him. He will show himself to be a great asset, as he was, for me. I wish that I could explain more to you. I wish that I could be there for you. I am sorry, but when I cast the spell to hide you from the enemy, it left me with only enough power to protect you and to send this, a part of my consciousness. The servants of the Daath Masters have found me, and I don't have much time, so I give my life in order for you to have yours. Never forget the sacrifices we have made for love, because in the end, that's what is truly real. I love you, my daughter. Now, go show them the hero that they need, my little dragonfly. Her last words spoken, a nickname rehearsed to me as a child. For as the image fades, she blows a kiss to me, and I know, in sadness, a pit of deep solitude, because it is the last goodbye. In habit, and faint hope, I quickly walk forward, reaching out to her, but, she is gone. I pause a moment, and her words hit like a deep wound, piercing its mark. My mind falls back to a day of youth, innocence and nursery rhymes. I know what she is speaking of, and it frightens me, because I now know that all of the stories that my mother told me were real, all of them. I then say, great, and I that thought she was making all of this up, figured that it was something to keep me scared of the night, you know, parables for children growing up in the third tier. But I guess, all of those legends about Judgment Day are real. Come on, this is only a child's nightmare fantasy, but I am not a child anymore. And this world is not a fantasy, and you are not with the shrine of protected light. No, we are not living in a fantasy, and no, to be honest, I am not with the SOPL directly, but we are affiliated. You could say that both of our organizations walk in the same light, and in regards to your childhood nightmare, that tale is very real. You see, my dear, a war is coming our way, a real big one, and it will not only shake our kingdom, but all of the kingdoms in the multi-realms. What makes you think that I am going to be a part of this? Especially for someone who tells me to believe that they are someone which they are not? That's pretty ironic coming from someone who is not from this realm, but the real truth of the matter is that you are involved, because you already are, and the enemy knows that too. You have something that they want. Of course, I say sarcastically. And what's that? The man moves his hand slightly across my face, and in colors and smoke, he shows me the image of a book, its pages holding magic and spells not of this world. Brilliant with light and knowledge, I could see why such a thing would control others in the trance of desire, wanting to hold and possess it. The man then says, what piques the interest of the Black Tefrith, as well as the Daath Masters, is that this book contains many spells and secrets, but the one which most interests us is an incantation that would give us the means to permanently close the nightmare's gate. I stop, now seeing the picture in full. I take a seat on the bed, as the man continues to speak. Our Queen, and the SOPL finds this a top priority, and has called us in, their hidden knights. You see how the Empire is these days. We have been trapped in here for too long. Humanity was meant to be free, not kept in these 7 city cages, like animals. You can now see why this has gathered so much attention. I hear the words spoken by him, and know them to be correct, but I am not prepared for the next. Now hold on to your socks, I have some more news, and you may not like this. Like so many things of value, that can become lost, they can be found again, and this treasure had been lost for a long time, that is until now. We now know its exact location, as does the enemy. And where would that be? I ask, trying to regain my composure, being so overwhelmed. The man smiles, with almost a snicker, and then in words I will never forget, he says. Inside of you, my dear, your DNA is the book, you are the book of 357, and in your blood and spirit exists the magic, and thus, the salvation of an entire people. These are the scrolls which your mother was speaking of. They contain all of the information that you need. They call it the Book of 357. It is also known to the tribe of Tefrith as the Book of Balance, and within its pages are divine secrets, something about everything magical. I guess, we aren't sure, but we do know that it is valuable enough for realm riders to come here to hide it, and to find it. Your parents were sent here to also make contact with us, those that would assist them in their quest, and that's when we, the Black Tefrith, came into the scene. We are the secret eyes of the Queen, and her last line of defense. Our empire has been chosen to be the hiding place for this book, which puts us on the map with other realms, like a beacon in manifestation. This is where our tiny imperium becomes a player in the grander scheme of things, and as for the public, they have no knowledge that we are being invaded every day from the outer realms, that fact made true by the randomly generated portals created within the Reaper zones. Another secret, their zones aren't just in our world, they interconnect with many different realms. Too bad that all of them are evil. The Reaper zones lead to the lower realms as well as to many other atrocities, but it is difficult for them to cross the barriers that protect the kingdom. They require the assistance of a human, they need a body to enter into our world. But not here in the old Tokyo quarter. Our biggest secret around these parts is that they don't need bodies here in this city sector, which means they have an open access to our realm, and the ability to use all of their dark magic, and that's where we come in. But lately, things have been heating up, more demons have been coming through, and they are stronger than the last ones, extremely stronger, and importantly, we know why. At first, we had hoped to be wrong, but the evidence was too much to ignore. They had come back, or better yet, they never left us. We can't let evil have that book, it would end our way of life, and humanity would surely fall to destruction. You mean, fall to the Daath Masters? I answer with apprehension, knowing the truth already before it is spoken. I then say in a soft tone, a shiver heard in my words. There is more to this besides for the nightmare's gate. Tell me, what secret does this book truly hold that it's so valuable that all of hell would come for it? So much that your secret society, the Black Tefrith, have become involved considering the danger. And yes, I do know who you are, not so much a secret to me. My mother had mentioned your organization many times before, good and bad. The man smiles, and then says in a casual tone. Suddenly, at that moment, two clawed hands break through the floor, grabbing me by the ankles. With force, I am pulled to the room below, hitting hard as I try to wrestle my senses. I look around, trying to get my bearings, then from the corner of my eye, I notice a dark figure rushing towards me, laughter heard echoing from all around. So this is the little one which I must absorb to claim the ancient scrolls. You will be such a tasty little treat, now come here, and die. The voice of the creature howls throughout the room, as I dash in and out, hoping to evade the attacks. Its large physique, growing in size, as black ooze streams from the pores of its skin. Like a snake, it moves about trying to corner me into a spot. Its tactics are different from most demons, this is a deadly one. I find that I am at a disadvantage as the beast rushes, causing me to dodge out of the way. You're a quick one, yells the creature, turning to look at me, as it hits the wall. Those from your realm always make good prey, for a hungry appetite. This game is fun, let's make things more interesting. Slowly, the demon surrounds me as it splits into several different entities, each a copy, deadlier than the original. I find myself in a peculiar situation, facing my death, the demon towering over me, its jaws wide, ready to consume. Carefully, I glare into their eyes, black with infinite evil, waiting to destroy. It craves blood and violence, deciding to move in for the kill, but it only finds destruction as Takashi drops down from the opening in the ceiling, made by the creature. In his hand, he holds an object, a sword bright with light, and strong. Throwing it to me, I grip its handle, knowing full well its purpose, a weapon of destruction. With fortitude and might, Takashi jumps upon one of the beasts, hoping to direct it away from me. Pulling a long staff from his sleeve, he thrusts it through the demon's neck, anchoring the beast to the floor. That's when he turns, sending thoughts of telepathy. These are copies, and watch out, they multiply and grow. We need to find the original before they overwhelm us, then we can kill all of them in one, understood? I nod in agree, only to turn, and find myself cornered, and in trouble. With insidious laughter, they prepare for the assault, fathoming that I am defenseless. But this isn't the first demon that I have fought, and as I raise the sword, it sings, shards of light glistening from its surface. The divine sword of Jebera will not help you, Bashalan, all of the beasts say as they move in closer. We know your mother did not teach you in the ways of your realm, you are a lost one, far from home, and weak. Talk big, die quick, I say to the beast, anger heard in my voice. You know nothing of me, Darkspawn. Oh, yes, we know you, and your dead mother, as well, each demon says, their minds acting as one while they continue to move closer. In a blast of daze and confusion, an explosion is heard in the next room as those from the Order of the Seraphim Dragon join into the battle, trying their best to contain the situation. Off to the side, Takashi finds himself engaged with another demon, but as one is destroyed, another is created to take its place. I pull the sword, only for the demons to bellow with laughter, their response mocking me. Foolish child of light, your struggle is futile, we divide, we grow, we dominate, we control, give yourself to us, and we will make your death less painful, but if you resist, all pain we will do to you, all pain, and more, just as we did to your sweet and dear mother, destroy her, now destroy you. The daughter follows the failure of the mother. Now, come little one, and die. From within, something strange stirs, causing me to pause, as a tear streams down my face. I stare upon those responsible for my mother's death, with the sword held firm with rage. It is then that I feel a focus of energy within me, forcing both demons to slowly back up. Raising the sword, I glance over at Takashi and the others, the demons almost upon them. With speed I have never exhibited before, I move towards one of the demons, grabbing it by the neck, forcing it to the ground. I then say, "Before I put this blade through your skull, I want you to beg me for mercy, for your life, and then know, I have now become the same death reflected back upon you, as you were when you killed my mother." The demon holds its spot, trying to gain leverage, but I push hard, my strength increased, breaking the floor underneath. It then says in a weakened voice, "Shadow shades of the lower pit never beg for mercy, we eat it." "Good, then eat this," I respond, shoving my blade deeply into its mouth, piercing the back of its neck. Black blood gushes from its throat, as I rip the head from the body, throwing it to the ground in delight. And with fire and death, I cast the demon into oblivion, its burnt corpse turning into ashes, hitting the floor like dust. Immediately, the replicas fall, dissolving into shadows, melting into the floor. Takashi and the others are left in a daze, as they stand alone in the remnants of their enemy, triumphant. I look at the blade within my hand, feeling its soul. Its energy glows bright, and I quite familiar with it. "That sword was your mother's," says Takashi, walking towards me. "And now, it is yours, Dragonfly." "What's going on?" I ask, as everyone within the room stares at me. "Why are you looking at me that way?" With a gentle nature, Takashi walks me over to one of the walls, placing me in front of a cracked mirror, showing me something that I had not expected. I glance at my face to see white hair, teeth with fangs, and the pupils of my eyes glowing. "I'm a freak," I say despondently. "What am I? Why did I change? Why?" I yell at Takashi, as he takes me out into the hallway, away from the others. "The protection spell that was on you is now gone, and your true form is now revealed. The incantations placed upon you by your mother not only blocked your energy signature, but it hid the fact that you are not from this realm, you are not a freak, you are much more, and we need you." I turn to Takashi, trying to make some sense of the situation, but the only words that I can muster are these. My mother was many things to me, most of all, the one who saved my life. It took me a long time to come to terms with her death, in fact, I never really got over it. But she is gone, and I only have her memories. Good memories. She taught me well, and now she is telling me to trust you, Mr. Takashi Kumahata, the Black Tefrith, so please, after she was so much, and still is so much to me, and more. Don't make her out to be a liar. Gently, Takashi takes my hand, holding it, and with kind words, he says, "My organization has always played a role behind the scenes. For we are the Queen's hidden agenda, the task force of the SOPL, but we are without a voice in the public, for we shall always remain silent, but the people need a hero that they can see, touch, and depend on to be there in the night, protecting the Empire, and its citizens. That hero is you, for you are the Dragonfly, you are the one we have been looking for, and we have been looking for you for a very long time. But I must also alert you of some bad news." "So, you're telling me that it gets worse?" I answer, not surprised. "It would figure, so give it to me straight, it can't be any worse." "Yes, it is," Takashi answers, pausing for a moment. "You see, the primary objective of the incantation was to keep you hidden, off of their radar, now that protection is gone." "Delicious," I say, interrupting. "Now, I'm on their radar." "Great. I don't look human, and now, I have all of the lower realms after me, with their demon hordes. So, Mr. Trust Me Man, what should I do? Die. With somber tones, regrets woven within words, and tied with guilt, Takashi speaks. Believe me, I do understand, you're not the only one who found the hard way into this organization, but you don't have a choice. As you can see, you are no longer what you were, or what you wanted to be, for in truth, you are the dragonfly, and you are our hero, and I can tell you that your life will never be the same, and I am truthfully sorry, but you are not alone, and you will never be. I promise you that. I turn to see those from the room walking out into the hall. As they pass by, one of them says, "Thank you, I don't know what we would have done in there without your help, but we are all still alive, thanks to you, hero." They exit down the hall, talking and laughing, amongst themselves, leaving me without speech, perplexed. Takashi smiles, and imparts these words. We, that is, your new family, are an eclectic group that is well suited to the different. You're going to find out that you're not the only thing that is strange in these parts, and so with that said, and decisively done, I can now formally welcome you to your new life, Agent Bessie Cranach. You've earned it, and you should be happy. The rough part is finally over, for all you have to do now, my dear, is one simple thing. Survive.
We have now entered onto the equinox of the 7th. Welcome to our intermission. Beware. The doors are still open. So ends the safety of our intermission. Now back to our reality. And the darkness. The 7th. Into the Black Tefereth. Part 2.
Imperial City. Ozogara. Third tier, Downtown District. City Kingdom Time. 10:45, OCNT, Ozogara City, Nighttime. The Gantuak Complex for the Esoteric Arts. Monk 12th Level, Bessie Kranich, Shrine of Protected Light, SOPL. 7th Order of the Seraphim Dragon. Priesthood of the Black Tefereth. I swear. I will do it right here, right now. He yells loud, and proudly, letting all know that he is in control of the situation, a coward. The weapon he holds in his hand presses tight against his victim's ear, causing it to bleed. She screams, but he doesn't care, all he wants is the money, and the respect that he deserves. Too bad it won't be going down that way, if I can help it. 3 sharp blades from my hand is all that it takes to disarm him. He falls to the ground in pain, clutching his injury, as his victim runs off into the night. Frantically, my prey looks around trying to spot my next move, but as always, they think too slow, and too late. One punch, and he is out, no more criminal, no more crime, and in the distance, I can already hear the local authorities making their way to this location. I can see the dragonfly has some unfinished business to do. So, are you still going to play hero all night? Look. We need to talk. Takashi, don't kid me, you mean argue, and as you have noticed, the hero is busy, I respond, cold in my tone. I am always busy. My life is nothing but fighting. I fight crime, I fight the evil that hunts, and I guess, now, I am fighting you. Nothing else matters, but the protection of the innocent, so please don't make me stop now. I hate it, when you do this to me. You hate it when I ask you about the truth. His telepathic voice, heard throughout my mind. But we all know that in the end, only you can know why you ride the night. Just don't forget why you're out there. And don't forget who brought me into this, I say, trying to keep calm. Who would have thought after so many years, I would still be lost in the memory of that day? The day that I first entered into the Black Tefereth. I told you the truth that day, because you deserved it, Takashi responds. Better to have the truth, than nothing at all. His words bring silence, as he waits for my response, but none comes from me. He knows my answer, as he continues to speak. Remember who you are, my dear. I know you think that this new contact of yours will help you to find the demons who murdered your parents, as well as find the portal that leads back to their lower domain, but we have nothing on this particular species of this demonic realm rider. It could be a trap. Everything is a trap, old friend, I answer, as I float over building tops, jumping to a Royal Broadcasting Company transceiver in the 2nd tier. I wonder what's on the telly tonight, always some type of new show, the drama of life brought to you on a script. If they only knew the luxury of their lives watching others, enjoying their naivety, while we on the other hand hide in the shadows, too busy trying to save their lives daily. Don't become lost in yourself, Takashi interrupting. The incantations we used to open a door into your mind to reveal parts of the book is precarious at best. All we have been able to accomplish is to get chicken scraps for you to use, and very small scraps at that. Wish we knew what those spells were, but only time can tell. The esoteric method that we needed to fully unlock your DNA, and the book, died with your mother. So we have you, the door, but no key, and picking this lock, my dear, can be quite dangerous, in fact, it can kill you. Well, I don't feel any different, or dangerous, or dead, I say sarcastically, looking around the sky, the wind moving past my face. Thoughts fill my head with memories, drifting back and forth to times in the RPG when I was a possession knight, but that life is gone, and here I stand, looking upon Ozogara City, and the new life thrust upon me as a hidden hero. From above and below, outward for miles into the distance, the second tier is seen. Its night lights dancing upon the dim illumination of the Unity Gate, shimmering in the distance. I lose myself in deep thought, mesmerized by the peace and quiet, something that is still strange to me after living for so long in the third tier. Crime is rare here, but not interruptions, as Takashi's voice breaks through, ending my peace. You need to be careful out there. It is very rare to perform the Phoenix rejuvenation. It can turn quite nasty when trying to revive segments of the mind that should remain clandestine. You need more training. I need to find the people who killed my parents, I say. Anger felt deeply within the tone of my voice, but anger can come with regrets, and I know this well. Look, I am sorry, I didn't mean to snap at you. But I feel as if I could explode. Sounds like the effects of magic, Takashi says. Remember, the dangers involved in this unique ceremony can still have unforeseen consequences. I am afraid, my dear, but as you know, your soul and body are not the same anymore. It will take time for the neural connections in your mind to reroute, and we don't know how long it will take for you to regain any of the knowledge that we have uncovered in this experiment. But the Book of 357 is inside of you, a primary part of your DNA, and your soul. You, and that book, are now one, and in some way, you have become the living vessel for the ancient scrolls of the tribe of Tefrith. That's why you must never waver in your determination to practice the esoteric arts. Without proper control, you could become a threat to everyone around you in the kingdom, most of all, yourself. Great, I respond. Now, I am a walking time bomb. A time bomb that will help to mold the Empire into something better. You are an agent of the Black Tefrith. We alone have been commissioned to preserve and maintain the ancient scrolls of the tribe of Tefrith. We alone have been asked personally, by Her Royal Majesty, to research and explore the nature and content of the Book of 357, praise to the Divine One. Praise indeed, because we are going to need it, I say, diving off into the sky, floating upon currents of air. We still don't have all of the information. The trail that those demons left has gone cold, and so have I, in their pursuit. But our attention does find the truth of a plot to discredit Her Royal Majesty, Takashi points out, knowing that my leads are close. Its roots have a demonic tone, and a connection to the Pyramid Palace and the Royal Court. We have agents assigned to the Queen directly, serving in the Minister's Hexagon. Their mission is to discover disloyalty within the Empire, or better yet, those royals who are key factors of immense control throughout the Empire. It is they who wish to steal this Imperium from our Queen. I'm almost afraid to consider, or even think that we are looking at a coup attempt within the Golden Circle, as well as within the royal court itself. The maestro of this political dance is manipulating key elements in order to alter the position of their house, hoping to gain power over the crown. And us. This isn't about power, and it's not political, I answer, my instincts picking up something more. I then say, it's about the payback. A payback, against Her Majesty, sheer vengeance, and nothing more, but why, and better yet, who? Now, that's the mystery, isn't it? Answers Takashi, frustrated and still puzzled. As for the royal court, and the Golden Circle, they may be content to think that this was a rare accident, but murder never is. Two of their most promising esoteric researchers, now dead, and our investigative teams from Red Candle believe that the witness reports submitted by the Golden Circle are forged. We know for a fact that they are covering up something, but what? We know the Covenant of the Shadow Magus were employed to murder the scientists, but who are the royal cowards who hired them? That still remains a secret, as well as their house, who may have no knowledge of this. Our evidence leads back to the same demons that targeted your mother, which were the same demons sent to kill those royal scientists. They too were researching material on the ancient scrolls of the tribe of Tefrith, your book of 357. That damn book is always coming back to me, like a thorn in my side, I answer, not surprised by the result. More than you can know, Takashi answers. The truth is that they had translated a fraction of the scrolls, but were killed before they could dispatch the information to the Golden Circle. We aren't sure what text was completed, but it is enough to send demon assassins to this realm to hunt them down. It may also contain an incantation that will allow you to access the rest of the pages within you. We have to be careful about how we extract this delicate material. Like I've pointed out, it can kill you. Oh yes, that reminds me, I answer, concerned. We never really discussed that, now did we? We did not, but I can tell you this much, the book can be found buried within the light codes of your DNA. Simply enough, my dear. The book is in your aura, and when you are ready, you will be able to work magic only the gods could command. But we must wait for that day when it is well within the grasp of your mind. If not, it will be a rough ride when bringing it to the surface. Rough ride? I say with confusion. Okay, old friend. You're holding back. You need to tell me what is really going on. Please. Takashi hesitates, taking a breath, then with reconciliation, he says. It wasn't meant for you to become one with that book when you were disguised as a human, but she had no choice. The book is carried by your people by placing it within their aura as stated. The book is telepathic, a thought form, which has its own consciousness, henceforth, it is alive. The problem with transferring the book to you, is that it wasn't done in the usual manner by your people. She was cut for time and had to perform two duties. Save her daughter and conceal the book. She first used the magic to cast a protection spell upon you. She then used another spell to project the book into your DNA. Because of that unorthodox process, the book of 357 is now a part of you forever. You now carry a symbiotic connection with its spirit, and such forth, it has become a mirror image of you. Which means that every time a new page of it becomes activated within your mind, you risk letting parts of your subconscious manifest within the real world. We can't be sure what will happen. You need more training. I understand, I reply, my tone stiff. But how can I help spark the fire of justice if I am trapped inside, doing training exercises? They need a face out here on the streets, and that's me. The dragonfly. I can see there is no reasoning with you, Takashi responds, not happy with losing the argument, but yet knowing I speak the truth. He then says, please, be careful, and don't forget what I have told you. Don't be concerned, I won't forget, my words answering him, hoping to calm his worries. But you know how stubborn I am when I set my mind to something, and like you said, we have to find those who killed those scientists. It still reveals a plot to discredit the Queen. We can't afford another attack. True, Takashi says, knowing the serious nature of the event. If your mother were still alive, I am sure that she would agree, and so does the rest of the council, so you have been authorized to meet with this contact and to establish the ties to our enemy. Like I've said, I feel that something bigger is going on here. But for now, just keep safe, and remember that you are my responsibility as every other member that is on my team. You, my dear little dragonfly, may be a formidable spy, and hero, but I am still your superior officer, as well as your only friend, a bonus for you. Trust always is, I say, holding my tongue. Trying my best for once to give respect a chance. I still hate it, but I do it out of admiration, and not for regulations. I will make sure to keep my head low in the third tier. And, I guess you've got a point, the public is beginning to become aware of my actions, people are talking about me, but they don't know what I am. So far, I have become a myth, and I'd rather that we keep it this way. I'm not one for the public eye. I know, and understand, Takashi says. Considering you're alien to this realm, I don't know how the masses will accept you. People may know of realm riders, but they haven't seen them since the invasion of the Daath Masters, before the Veiled Forest dominated our lives. We all considered how dangerous it would be for you to take on this mission as a representative of the Black Tefrith, but we never thought that you would make yourself a martyr for crime fighting in the city. You need to keep yourself hidden and out of sight, but we still need to draw out the enemy. Well, in this line of work, you learn to roll with it, I answer, causing a small pocket of wind to appear. With one jump, I leap into the air, landing on top of a tree. I look down to see that I am within one of the many royal parks in the second tier. I have been doing police guard work for a long time, and sometimes life throws you unexpected surprises. I am sure that my dead mother and father would agree. With my thoughts gathered, surmising the situation of my coming encounter, I motion to end the conversation, and say, "Now, I must be going before I am late." This contact doesn't like to wait around. As for our little talk, we aren't done with it, I am sure. I promise to get in touch with you when I get some new information. Okay, and please keep your eyes open, Takashi says with seriousness. Don't make this our last conversation like your mother and I were forced to do. Don't forget, the enemy is always out there. Good luck. The communication channel closes, and I am left again with the sounds of nightly activity. The magic that I incorporate moves through my body, causing an outer skin to form, creating a field of black mystical energy that I use to float off into the air. Behind me, the tree that I was perched upon fades away into the view, vanishing as I pass cloaked from the second tier into the downtown sections of the third, just outside of the protective wall. Here, life is robust, beautiful, and dynamic, as lights dance upon darkness, making the city come alive, even with the impending forest. To those in the third tiers of the 7 cities, the downtown areas, or as the locals call it, the Rim, is a rare jewel. For here, only minor incursions of evil manifested themselves because of the proximity of the Unity Gates. This narrow strip of land, like a ring, lined the protective wall which marked the border of the second tier. The safety afforded by those lucky enough to live in this area allowed people to freely roam after dark, giving the Rim a downtown nightlife that was unique to no other in the third tier, or even in the Empire. Flying crafts of all types make their way through the evening sky, as I fly past them, unobserved in my cloaked state. Limited in number from being in the third tier, this is one of the few places in the Imperial ghettos that you can still see some of the modern Empire. In the first and second tier, these miracles are an everyday sight, but here, they are a rare beauty when you can see them. But my mind is not in the sky, it is somewhere else, lost in thoughts. I keep thinking about the name given to me, Dragonfly. The first rule of being an Imperial myth is to become a tale for the Empire to gossip about, but to never know the truth. That was the motto of the Black Tefrith. Buried in conspiracies, lies, and governmental reports, many would call them a vengeful spirit of the Empire. The Black Tefrith protected the kingdom from the inside, the secret hand of justice that held the evil heart of humanity at bay. Their numbers are unknown, and I, occasionally, run into an agent when our sectors intermingle, or when needed, but for the most part, I am out here alone, and I like it. Usually when trouble comes my way, I cleanse it. But seeing death, destruction, and dishonor can change a person, leaving on the palate a taste that is most unpleasant. The instructions given by my contact explicitly mapped our meeting place. Landing in the front garden, entering, I find myself looking around thinking about the words of Takashi, and how I had come to be in my current position. I sometimes wonder, was it the right decision, to take on the responsibility of being the vengeful hand of justice, but once you accept the calling, there is no turning back. The Empire needs people like me to help slay its dirty secrets. As evil as demons, power held by those in private hands, can become a dark presence that ultimately haunts, and later, destroys. My contact had selected a familiar venue to have our meeting. I walk around, remembering past days. Whoever this person is, they know me well. For the meeting place was the home that I grew up in, before the death of my mother. But it was more than just a home, it was a sanctuary, but as I glide through the house, I find spots of incomplete memories. I quickly fall back into duty, as I notice a presence. Casting an incantation, my senses scan through the many layers of energy and consciousness that permeates the environment. This place of such happiness, now abandoned, sets in quiet seclusion, kept asleep, never to rise again. The house is sad, and I, as well. With hesitation, I bypass the security system, gradually moving to one of the back rooms, where I soon discover my contact waiting for me, and I am not surprised. "I knew you would be here," says a voice that lurks from behind. "This home is always in your mind, even when your body isn't. But this is the home of your childhood, a place that holds your innocence. You're lucky, little one, lucky that you haven't sold your soul, yet." "Would you have it any other way?" I answer, turning around to see a dark figure standing before me, grinning with delight. "If it wasn't for me knowing your MO, I would have arrived in doubt, challenging the honor of your words." "Ah, my dear, it is but a small honor," answers the dark figure, moving closer, laughing. "I have so enjoyed our dance over the last few weeks, but now, we must part ways, little dragonfly. Death to us is always a serious matter, a matter which has brought our meeting, as well as another assignment for you. The last one, but the final one. It will be a true test of who, and what you are, but isn't this what this is all about, testing ourselves, and living with that decision? But this time you hold all of the cards, and be careful, my dear, no second chances this time." As before, I find irritation, and say, "Okay, stop, and tell me straight out, what the hell is going on here?" Interesting the word that you choose to describe the situation. "Hell," says the dark figure standing before me. "That, my dear, is correct, or better yet, to be more precise, a demonic invasion." "You did say, demonic invasion, right?" I ask, not liking the words. "And what type of lead-off should I follow with that? Damn it, you and the people of your organization seem nothing more to me but a ghost, yet you are telling me that we have a possible takeover of the crown. Our queen is not that weak, and there are many in the divine court, and others in the golden circle, who would bring resistance to such a fate, that is, if such a fate should befall the kingdom." "Fool, their resistance is nothing more but a nuisance," the dark figure replies with arrogance. "This is more than just people, it is an idea that has manifested into a dark and hideous form. Now, I have warned you, if you ignore me, then you will see an empire shattered into oblivion." Silence obscures the room as lights from the outside protrude inward, leaving shadows upon the floor. I have only been familiar with this unknown figure for some time. But it was this same mysterious figure that saved my life many times before with the information gathered. I know one thing, bad things can sometimes come in clean packages, best for me to stay on guard until I can make better sense out of all of this. My contact smiles, and with a few steps to the right, in the blink of an eye, is gone, but in the air, a voice still lingers, speaking to me. "Another detail, I have a gift to aid in your quest." "Good, I hope that it is something that won't almost get me killed, this time," I say with a serious tone. "Your gifts help and hurt with no prejudice for good or evil. You make no sense. You want to help, but always with a test or riddle. Why, what person would do such a thing?" There is laughter in the air as the stranger gives a wild amusement to my words, and then with a whisper of air, a small reflective orb appears before me. Gift-wrapped delicately with a ribbon, a green one. And what is this? I ask, unimpressed, taking it into my hand. And always the green ribbon, always the green ribbon, why? Because it is for you, my dear, the voice answers. But this time, something different, and you are going to need it, for this enemy is none like any other you have bested. Remember the name, Mafius Audium. I am sorry, but that's all I can speak of, but rest assured, you will not be without assistance on this journey. One of my associates will be meeting with you in order to facilitate a successful victory. They will advise you further on the greater details of this situation. Again, you give me a big puff of smoke in my face, I ask, confident in receiving an answer. You are the man with all of the information. Just tell me what is going on. And what do you mean by, another will advise you? As stated, the voice of my contact reiterates. No more can be said, you will be advised. You have been chosen, my lady, and you can't turn away from the call, just as your parents could not. Many eyes are upon you, not only from this realm, but others, as well. You are not just a hero for these people, but for many others, including your home realm of Bashala. You see, you do have all of the answers, I say, trying to hold back my overwhelming curiosity. And if you know that, then what about my parents? And another thing, what do you mean by chosen? You have to give me some more answers. I need more answers. Please. Do not fret, my dear, all of the information contained in that golden globe that I just gave you, is the answer, my love. It is the golden path that will lead you towards the truth about yourself, as well as freeing an empire from the evil that still grows and bears a fruit, a dark apple for your dear queen to bite. My divine, I think I understand. The truth coming to me as I cover my mouth, I then continue, yelling out. They're not just doing a coup. They don't plan on using her as a hostage, to barter for political power. Damn it, they are going to do an assassination. Our holy divinity, they are going to kill the queen. Very good, the stranger responds, laughter heard, echoing throughout the room. We knew that you were the one, the Ides of March, are upon us, little dragonfly, and they show white teeth, with a wide smirk, making it easier for them to devour your innocence. These unholy creations will lead you down the rabbit hole to the answers that you seek and desire. Now go, and save what is left of our world, before they destroy it. Do not forget the name which I have spoken to you, you will know when to bring it to light again. As the voice fades, I move my hands over the item given to me, causing it to vanish, absorbing it into my consciousness for the review later. I am left more confused than with clarity, but that's how it always is when you're an agent of the Black Tefrith, nothing ever seems normal. But one truth remains, things are about to get nasty. Swiftly, I make my way out of the house, leaving as I came, but with more questions than answers. Memories, tears, and hate, I depart, looking back at my childhood that has become a shrine, and I have just made penance. I plot my course, and float gracefully, rising above the tall buildings, until I find one that is high enough, allowing me to contemplate the nature of my affairs, and to evaluate the contents of the psychic data given to me by my mysterious contact. With ease, I unwrap the protected thought form held in my mind, my consciousness unfolding the many layers of mystical code that holds the information. I immediately incorporate it into my psyche and start to move freely about the data, taking it in one bit at a time. Then it comes to me, all of it, in full, the danger mentioned, the plans, the betrayal, and most of all, who it was. The deadly royals who hide behind the mask of secrecy and guile. But there was something that I did not expect, the true nature of their plan, It was not the assassination of the queen, no, it is something with a much more insidious vibration. In my awakening, I quickly make a telepathic link with Takashi, praying to the divine that I am not too late. This is the dragonfly. Has the queen already arrived at the ceremony? Hello. Hello. But I am only greeted with interference and sinister words as a voice comes from behind. I turn to find a figure dressed in dark robes, standing with a sickle, as if an angel of death. They cannot hear you, nor will I let them, the creature says, grinning with delight. Welcome to the party. The dark warrior dances before me with its weapon raised in the air, the moon shimmering from behind in the night, energizing its blade. But as I psychically scan the beast, I feel that its energy is different, things aren't what they seem. I move off, trying to gain leverage in the battle, its ominous voice howling in the breeze. I have been assigned to kill you, child of light. Death to you, your god, and your empire. I try to cloak, but the monster has locked onto my energy signature, and has found me. Without warning, the shadowy figure moves forward with great speed, as I push up, avoiding the hit. In midair, I rise above to see the sky, hoping to lose my enemy in the night. Strange, it moves different than an ordinary demon. I am almost caught off guard. You can't escape me, child, the creature proclaims, confident. I have been sent here to eat you alive, and I will not break my promise to you, nor my masters. And what masters would those be? I ask, turning to strike my foe. With a grin that stretches from one end of his cheek to the other, I notice in its eyes a faint darkness, a familiar possession of a demonic spirit, but more powerful than I have ever encountered. You seem to be a wild one, I say, flying over the creature, hitting it in the back, knocking it down to one of the buildings below. Well, I can get a wee bit out of control myself. With tremendous force, it hits, breaking through the ceiling of the top floor, but nothing for its caliber, as it quickly recovers, gladly turning to mock me with impressions seen upon its face. It knows that I am no match. In that moment, it launches towards me, as I begin to feel a sensation consume my body. In hindsight, I realize too late that my opponent has caught me within a web of transparency. Damn it, now I'm trapped. In delight, the enemy advances, ready for the kill. I move slightly, catching a blow from the side, but returning one in exchange as the beast smashes into the side of a building, behind me. The creature grips the side metal plating, ripping it out. Its body contorting like a broken and deformed rag doll, pulling itself loose, launching once again at me with fierce resolution. In a dark voice, it yells out in rage and anger. I will eat your soul, little dragonfly. The demon stretches its hands outwards like strings of hair, wrapping its deadly tentacles around my body. I try to break away, but the strength of my opponent is too great, exhausting me in the struggle. With victory held firm within its grasp, it spirals downward, diving to the ground, knowing that the impact will kill me when we both hit. I continue to struggle, hoping to break free, but its hold upon me is too great. With speed, we plunge towards the clouds, heading towards the city below. You will die, the demon yells out in exultation. And as my prize, I will consume and take your body as my own, as well as the Book of 357. I hate demons, those bastards, and their arrogant natures, as I force a stand, and say. Your kind are so pathetic and pitiful. Can't live in the light unless you have control over the body of a human. When will your kind learn? You escape from the Reaper Zone, and we hunt you down. Who is the lucky victim that you possessed this time? Some street urchin trying to get out of the cold, dumb enough to cross the safety barriers. Did you call out to this one like so many others, beckoning them to come into the Reaper Zone, where you could strip them of their flesh, so that you may walk in the light for a breath in our world? But only for a short time, that is until you have to locate another body because you burn through them so quickly, but that's the life of an outlaw, isn't it? Your kind will always run from the divine light. But you can never hide, and why spawn of the lower realms? It's because you're not alive. You gave up your place in God's celestial kingdom a long time ago, you poor creature, you sacrificed your soul. But in honesty, you never had one. In fact, you're all dead. So, why don't you let me help you complete the task, and rid you from the burdens of existence? I try to maneuver, but the beast presses harder to constrict me, as I begin to pass out, still fighting not to accept my death. My kind have infiltrated your city, the demon says, shrilling with delight, bellowing into the night. Soon your whole empire will become wards of Halpius. Then the road to Halpius shall be laid with barricades, says a voice from the shadows, my enemy paralyzed by a strange flash of energy. I easily slip from its grasps, causing the creature to fall to the ground below, breaking apart into slivers of green energy, then vanishing. I look up to see a man floating, his cane gripped firmly, dressed in white, top to bottom, wings spread wide, flapping vigorously. I pause, first in disbelief, for I find this to be quite unusual, but he tips his hat, offering me a hand to parley as I fly towards him. Stopping, I match level with my mysterious protector, and say, I would assume you to be a friend, and that a passing of names will not be too much to ask, that is, after saving my life. Yes, answers the winged man. We have a mutual acquaintance, a home visit of sorts for you, I would imagine. But formality must make with short introductions, as we both have a mission to complete, saving this kingdom. And as for my name, you can address me as Osmodai. And you may call me, but before I can end my sentence, he answers for me with an unusual politeness. The dragonfly, answers Osmodai, tipping, then gently, placing his hat firmly back upon his head. Our friend, and I are both familiar with your unique situation. With frustration, I say, please, for once, I would love it if someone would just tell me the truth without all of the riddles. And by the unique factor that you have wings, I would assume you to be a realm rider as well as I. My people used to be many, but now, we are more, we are one, Osmodai answers, motioning me to follow. I could attempt to indulge you within a finer grasp of how existence is in my realm, existing with the one, but you wouldn't understand it any other way. That's all right, I sarcastically reply. Confusion seems to be the only truth around here. So, where are we going? Rapidly, we glide through Ozogara City, moving deeper into the third tier. Osmodai turns, and says, we are going to go save the queen, but first, I have to bring you up to par on things. Okay, I quickly answer, as I try to keep up, flying closely behind. It must be important considering that we are in such a hurry. While you were fighting, I was observing your progress, says Osmodai. I would have not let that creature kill you, but I did notice you understood it to be something more than a possessed human, and that it had an evil entity in it, but much different, more sinister. Yes, I answer. It wasn't a standard possession like when people normally get caught in the Reaper zones after dark. I am an experienced, and retired RPG possession knight. I am quite aware of this problem in the Empire, and so are others, even if the public eye has its limited knowledge, but this one I can tell you was not your ordinary demonic type. No, says Osmodai, as we both land on top of a building. The seals have been broken. What do you know of the underground catacombs beneath Ozogara, or as they like to call it, Halpius? I don't know anything, I answer, waiting with a puzzled facade. Why don't you tell me, then, we can both know. Agreed, Osmodai answers. Well, then let me tell you a story about the nature of this evil. Waving his hands before me, I feel a faint vision as images flash in currents of thought. In an instant, the information is sent to me in a stream of consciousness, our minds linked psychically in a reality, created by the essence of two souls. My eyes look forward to see Osmodai in the dream imagery, his form moving closer, changing as he begins to explain one of the most well-kept secrets in the Empire. During the migration wars, before the creation of the third tiers, many imperial citizens found refuge in the catacombs underneath Ozogara city. It was there that they made a kingdom of their own, Halpius, a sanctuary separate from the Empire. They were extreme isolationist, and chose to remain hidden from all. As our world burned in chaos, theirs continued to grow. The dream of Halpius found itself prosperous as the Empire was on the verge of destruction. But when the wars were over, and more space was provided among the 7 cities from the newly developed third tiers, all knowledge of Halpius disappeared. Their people became nothing more but a myth, and with the assistance of the royals and the newly reformed Imperium, they were never heard of again. Those who decided to live beneath the city, in this underground world, were granted the status of royal pioneers who governed as extensions of the crown. The hidden colony began to grow and became a new addition to the empire, and trust me, they grew until they had expanded under all parts of Ozogara city. It was truly a remarkable sight to see a city beneath a city. The colony of Halpius became a true wonder that mirrored our kingdom to the point that they were granted the royal title of a city-state and became officially known as the 8th city, for as the dawn of their golden age came, they had become such a presence, that they had decided under royal decree to reveal themselves to the rest of the empire. But when the Reaper zones started to manifest within the boundaries of Ozogara, those below in the underground city were unprepared for it. Many were possessed and had no protection from the effects of the Reaper zones, not even in the light of day, because the city was underground, giving the demonic hordes carte blanche over their prey. In the end, the colony fell to the infestation brought upon by the lower realms of hell, using the Reaper zones as a means to gain a foothold. When all was lost, we evacuated what survivors we could and then sealed the entrances, locking the possessed underground forever like a coffin that housed the undead. We had thought them to be contained, but we were wrong. The evil down under the city had evolved into something menacing, and now it wants to consume the whole kingdom. We knew that a society of dark entities had existed under Ozogara city, but we never imagined that they would be so well organized and intelligent. But after further investigation, we now know why. The colony seems to have developed a new type of environment most suitable for the demons, especially what concerns us is the appearance of much older entities. Many of our people have surmised that a new doorway may have been opened, but we don't know how, but it has now been confirmed, at least to me. You yourself have proven that fact tonight. Me, I say as I tried to figure out what is going on. What have I proven? Why, the most obvious of course, answers Osmodai. The creature of evil which you have fought is a demonic presence from Halpius and is known as a Voldrose hive. They were a part of the first legion of dark dominions when the world first fell into chaos. They are the ones who bore the coming of the spoiled seed of the dark light. It would appear that the invasion has begun again. What the hell are you talking about? I ask, fear in my throat. It is then that Osmodai turns to me in the connected state, assuring to me that all is not lost. He then continues speaking, knowing that he is about to reveal the worse. We know that the old enemy is trying to gain dominion over the empire, but whom are they working through? How did they acquire such a hold over them when the protection seals are still working at full strength? How did they escape and what bodies are they hiding in? Until we discover the identities of whom they have possessed, we are lost. They can shape-shift back into the one that they have control over. And as we know, they never show their true appearance until it's night when the light of Tefrith can't burn their bodies black and crisp. These vampirians are a nasty breed of demons, but they are one of the most gifted and dangerous of Hell's infiltrators. But this entity has been off of the radar even before the Empire was created. The only time that I can think of an entity that even came close to its description is when it was used in the cleansing campaigns of Halpius. During the time of this unpleasant incident, the city was ruled by a dark and insane Kabbalistic dictator named Matthias Ordium. Wait, I say, holding Osmodai by the shoulder tight. I was told that name by my contact, and my contact also said that I would know when to mention it. Well, answers Osmodai. It would deem that this is such a time. I do have one thing that needs to be resolved, I ask, causing Osmodai to pause. Who is Matthias Ordium? Quickly the scene changes, as suddenly before me stands a young man with dark brown hair, his brow bent low with the weight of the world, and I can tell, he means to rule it, he who is named Matthias Ordium. Good, we now have a name, says Osmodai. Henceforth, I now understand the solution. There is a code that is embedded in the information in which your contact has given you. He knew that I would be the only one to know the procedure to extract the hidden data. Instantly, he casts various esoteric algorithms, until he finds the correct one. He then says, you say a number, then the first name, and then we speak a number together, then I will say the last name, ending with a number. Do you understand? Yes, I say, confused. But no, but yes in totality, and how will I know which numbers to say? You will know, Osmodai says as he begins. Without a moment's time, we recite the code as if it had always been there before us in our minds. Suddenly, several images and sounds become unlocked as they propagate our surroundings. It is a recording, one in which we find to be most illuminating. From randomly generated thoughts flashing in tandem, a figure emerges immersed in gold and white lights, taking the shape of a woman. Her story tells of betrayal and royal secrets, hidden and buried for no one to find, until now. Tears in her eyes, shaking with fear, she speaks. My name is Dr. N. A. Mochjomo. I am one of the lead scientists responsible for the translation incantation to decipher the ancient scrolls. Great Divine! How could we have been so stupid? We never intended for our work to harm anyone. Okay. Okay. I have to keep it together, and not lose it. Okay, I can do this. I can do this. Okay, from the beginning. It seemed to work so perfectly. We were trusted by Her Majesty and the SOPL to research the scrolls of the tribe of Tefrith. But they did not know we were developing the translation matrix for other intentions. These were the plans of our true masters. We are so sorry, but we did not know the extent of the corruption in the Empire, or the evil that we had manifested, that is, until it was too late. The woman walks closer, looking behind her, then, with caution in her movements, she slowly turns forward, and says, our betrayal is great, and the eyes of our masters are everywhere. I don't know how much time I have. I know that they have already killed the others, and now, I am the last one who holds their secret. Only you can save us, so I am sending this thought form out to one of you, hoping that it arrives in time. It is created to keep broadcasting. It will seek out one of your agents in the Black Tefrith, and alert them of this imperial threat. We couldn't have known the intentions of our masters, and their desire for conquest. They who wanted the throne for their own have now been tricked by greed, but we could have never known the terrible deeds, and the evil that we have let loose upon the kingdom. My life will be over soon, but to make my penance with the divine, I must cleanse my soul by revealing the dark royals in the golden circle. The cowards that have betrayed the crown and who have broken the sacred seals of Halpius to find power and glory. We did discover the correct sequence to translate the scrolls, but we only did so for one purpose, to find a special incantation that would allow our masters to explore beneath Ozogara city, for there lies the true nature of their quest. After finding the spell to break past the protective seals, astral research teams were then projected into the forbidden areas deep into the 8th city to find the ancient texts of Matthias Audium. We knew that during the migration wars, many of the books of the old gods were taken to the lower levels to be saved if the wars were to destroy the empire. But in the end, these texts became the property of Halpius, and its later conqueror, Matthias Audium. He alone amalgamated a text that contained a vast knowledge of ancient wisdom into one book known as the Soul of the Crane of Onuchek, a volume consisting of 356 scrolls with one missing, the last one which would make the volume 357, a key that would lead to the ancient knowledge of the secret divine. But with the barrier seals in full power, they knew that they would have to wait for a special time to penetrate them. And that's when our work discovered an answer. Cloaked within the ancient scrolls, we had discovered a special form of magic that would grant us a doorway into the 8th city. They risked breaking royal sanctions, and law, even to the point of using forbidden scriptures from the tribe of Tefrith, stolen from the vaults of the Royal Esoteric Defense Force. The astral research teams were sent in, without a worry, since they had used projected bodies. In all of our glory, we are still weak when it comes to blind competition, for it is the only thing that reigns over the golden circle. Those with misguided power never consider the repercussions of their actions. We were no better, and so we all shall pay the price for our mistake. Another royal house did not want us to retrieve the documents, so they attempted to stop the astral jump by casting incantations to block the team so no one would get the secrets. Their spells had success, the team was not able to jump, and the mission was a failure, or so that's what was thought at the time. In reality the mission was a success and the team did go, but when they came back, dark things were inside of them, very old, very dirty, and disgustingly vile. We discovered all too late that their souls had been eaten. The incantations of the rival house caused the team to go, but unprotected because of the mixing of unknown magic. Our intentions created a small rip that allowed the evil to escape, by using the bodies of the research team as an exit point by means of possession. Now, they are free, and able to move about in the Empire, with the ability to jump from body to body, looking for the perfect host. And they are not alone, it was all a setup from the start. They were waiting for us to come, and we fell right into their trap. The woman in the message freezes, as she stands there in horror to what she has witnessed. She then builds up enough composure to continue speaking. We never experienced something like this before. These possessions were different, malevolent in nature. It can split itself up into multiple bodies, and does so at its leisure, but the process will lessen its power when done so. This is because it is not just one demon, it is many, for this entity of darkness holds all of the damned souls trapped in that city when it was taken over. The entity that we have been trying for so long to destroy, capture, or banish is nothing more but a long-buried legion of demons now awakened by our intrusion into his buried realm. Matthias Audium has risen once more. Divine One, save us from our ignorance. The damn fools in their exploits to further their selfish goals, have put all of our lives at risk, and now, we will all have to pay the costs for their misdeeds. Suddenly, there is a pause in her conversation as she turns to her right to hear large sounds as if something is forcing its way inward. She then says in a panic, "Please listen to me, the Empire is in danger, and this legion must be stopped before they devour every city in the kingdom." The sound stops, then briefly returns. The woman is frantic as she tries to communicate her message. "They have found me, damn it, not this. Please, not this. Can you hear me? They have found a hiding spot. They are here. They are here. Save yourselves if you can." The secret to their plan is not to kill the queen, it is not to kill her. No, not kill. Their real plan is to. And in that quick moment, she is gone, the message abruptly ending, leaving me in a daze. I find myself more confused than I have ever been. I turn to look at Osmodai as he ends the psychic link between us. We both meld back into the surroundings. Gradually, I get my bearings, standing with a chill on the rooftop. In quiet motion, Osmodai looks at me, holding back. He then says, "We need to get to the festival." "Then I guess we better make a trip towards the Reaper Zone," I answer, as I prepare for the journey. But as I begin to float off the ground, Osmodai grabs me, and says, "We don't need to fly. Stay right there." As he pulls me back, a fog rises above us, whirling and mixing with our forms until we are both a fine vapor, and then, gone. Within the swirling mist, our forms are held in stasis as we are teleported to our destination in a fashion I have no way of truly explaining. I now have to consider Osmodai to be one of my most interesting contacts, for I never expected anyone in the kingdom to wield such magic at this magnitude. Instantly, we materialize on top of a building somewhere in the 3rd tier. In the distance, I can see the lights of the festival, bright, and with people dancing, having fun, and amusement. Something not frequently seen in these parts after dark. I turn to Osmodai, and say, "That was a nice trick. Very handy for traveling, but one thing still boggles my mind. How the hell did you do that? Your kingdom does not possess the skill of celestial bilocation, but I am older than they. For I am older than this empire, like my friend who made contact with you in your old home. We both carry similar ties to the past, that is, before the world became lost in all of this darkness. We are kindred spirits. We are all strangers here from other lands," answers Osmodai, as he motions for me to follow. With ease, we both rise, gliding towards the festival. Our eyes locked onto the night as we move over the buildings, homes and deserted streets of the 3rd tier. Below, people remain locked in their homes, their esoteric shields at maximum, hoping to stay protected through the night. A strange stillness seems to move about like the angel of death, as the night makes its usual introduction to the city with various creatures and dark spirit forms. We leave the disturbances to the local RPG units, as we move towards the festival with haste, its lights becoming brighter as we float closer. "This yearly observance is a good thing that our queen has declared," says Osmodai. "It always brings favorable gestures with the people when the monarchy gives a kind hand. This Scala affair is nothing more but a way for the kingdom to brave the night, and to know that they are not alone in the dark. For as a people, they will overcome the past, and the night." The festival of the Nightfall, as always, was held at the Ozogara City Reaper Zone, also known to many as the Dragon's Den. It was considered the Empire's stand against the darkness that befell them. Each year, the Queen would hold a city-wide event that lasted for 3 days, and at the ending of the affair, all citizens from every corner of the Empire would be able to come to Ozogara City, and attend the last spectacle, which is presided over by the Queen herself, as well as a majority of royals at her side. All citizens are given free esoteric personal shields, and other protection during the night. Additional safety markers are placed around the area, indicating the boundaries of the esoteric shields encircling this evening's event. Citizens would stand in unanimity with their queen, showing that our empire shall stand as one, to endure the night. Today, 3 Reaper Zones remain in the empire, permanently rooted to their cities. They stand as a reminder of how evil is always trying to enter our kingdom, to destroy us. Rio Gaia, Thames Crossings, and Ozogara City held these massive areas where the esoteric shields are neutralized. Only the light of the day holds their evil at bay and lets others venture into their abandoned wastelands. Under royal proclamation, no one is allowed to go into these zones, but some still take the risk during the light of day to plunder the area. Royal patrols constantly monitor these regions to make sure that no one violates the sanctions, but that is not a problem. Most people know to stay away because of the dangers of demonic possession. I don't understand, I say to Osmodai as we fly over the rooftops, moving closer. They don't want to kill the Queen, then how the hell do they plan on taking over the Empire? The only thing would be possessing her. We both bellow at the same time. As we lower our descent to the ground, Osmodai turns to me, and says, "That's what we must find out. How are they planning on possessing her?" "The only way I can think of is direct contact," I say, trying to figure out the puzzle. "But how are they going to make that happen? They can't do it in daylight. In fact, she never goes out into public without some type of protective incantation. She will be impenetrable, as well as the rest of the public. They will all be protected. So, how the hell is the impossible going to happen?" Then it hits me, almost causing me to stop in mid-flight. As I catch up to Osmodai, I turn with the answer. "What do we know about Mafia Sordium and his knowledge on the Reaper zones? Do we have anyone who has that information? What about you, old man?" "I am not old, I am immortal," says Osmodai. "But not without limitations in the understanding of some things, but needless to say in my misgivings, and failure to avail myself in that field of knowledge, I can still acquire the information." Moving his hand, he causes a thick cloud of colors to form that bends and moves, taking shape under his voice and will. He then replies, "Well, apparently, your reference pertaining to my age is accurate, for as it stands in truth, I will have to call in an old favor, from an old friend." Once more, before us, the mist begins to take shape, changing its nature into a familiar image that I have seen before, but never thought to meet. The name of this individual that now stands before us, taken shape from the cloudy matter, is a name that is rarely spoken without some type of mystery and awe. Time seemed never to catch up with her, for she barely aged. She who led the war against the demonic insurgents of the Reaper zones when they had terror over the kingdom. They would move and appear as they wanted, leaving people dependent on those in the Red F to save and protect them. These were the hectic days of the kingdom where we all were on pins and needles. She was a major force in containing the Reaper zones, and directing the construction of its protective barriers, curtailing its dominion over us. She stayed a strong force for the Red F, even after the activation of the multiphasic shields that rid our empire of the random zones, and eventually led to only 3 permanently rooted ones in our kingdom. With amazement in my eyes, and silence on my tongue, she speaks, her face hovering before us. "Well, isn't this a surprise? But as you know, for someone like me in my position, I expected that you would be getting in contact with me sooner or later." Osmodai smiles, and then with laughter on his voice, he replies, "Good to see you again, Gemma, or should I say, Red Imperium Master, or would you prefer, Royal Madam?" "Ah, as always, a smart ass." "You haven't changed," Gemma answers as she turns to me, and says, "He has always been a smart ass. Don't let him get you in trouble, but if you are here, I can see it is already too late. Trouble always pursues him." "And we have a lot of it," answers Osmodai. "You and I both know that we have an old enemy that is going after the Queen, but how? We need to know what Mafia Sordium knew about the Reaper zones." "I see," says Gemma. "I told you that he was a smart ass, but in concerns about Mafia Sordium, you both are correct. We figured as well on our end, that something may be tied to him, but our experts on the subject have been coming up empty. I figured that you may be able to shed some light onto this before all of hell breaks loose. Considering that we both know that you have the last words of one of the lead researchers who worked on the Royal Translation Project. So, what did the dear doctor have to say before she and the others were murdered after their traitorous acts?" Didn't take you long to follow that trail, says Osmodai. Well, the fools sent in an astral team into Halpius, and allowed the astral team to become possessed by its residents. A rival house caused the accidental possession, but I don't think that it was accidental. But you know that, don't you? So now that I know that you know, why don't you tell me what I need to know? Now, I am really confused, I say, forgetting my place as Osmodai looks at me with discord, Gemma smirking with delight as she continues the conversation. Well, for one, our friend Matthias Audium was more than just an expert on the Reaper zones. He was a genius and a believer in their presence to be a means of cleansing humanity. But his vision was a broken one that opened a door straight into hell, or at least, that's what he was trying to do. And as for the rival house who sabotaged the expedition, there was none. What? I say. Then who the hell is responsible? Well, none other than our old friend, Matthias Audium, answers Gemma. And yes, I thought that you would find that interesting. But why? I answer, unexpectedly. It has to do with their research, doesn't it? I saw that the sequence before the last was 357. The same mystical reference that the astral research teams were looking for. I know that it is related to the book within me, and somehow, their research is connected. I like the way you think, Gemma responds excitedly, turning to Osmodai smiling, then after a brief pause, they both turn their attention back upon me. With a kingdom in the balance, the air becomes still. Gracefully, Osmodai places his hand gently upon my shoulder, and says, "You are the key, so tell us, Dragonfly, how is he going to take possession of the Queen? You are the living book of 357, and the source of Matthias Audium's power. If you have all of the scrolls, then you will have all of the knowledge inside of you." The scrolls were a guide for our kingdom, and contained all of the relevant information, past, present, and future. It is a key that unlocks a door that leads to the divine deep within you, for in there, inside of you, the book is waiting to be discovered. Now, think of the Reaper zones, and guide us to the answer. In bewilderment, I look at them both, thinking them mad and crazy, but lately, I think to myself, my life really hasn't been that normal. For as I continue down the rabbit hole, it seems to me, that things were always meant to be this way. Closing my eyes, I begin to meditate upon the Reaper zones, and Matthias Audium. It doesn't take long, as I find myself floating through a maze of books, guided by a feeling. Then, in the far corners of my mind, I see it, a bright light moving towards me. I reach out for it, touching its surface. Instantly, energy moves through my hands, shocking me, but yet without pain. Knowledge becomes a floodgate as I am overwhelmed with information, status report, experiments, a menagerie of esoteric information concerning the Reaper zones, but much of it is unknown to me. But one thing I see, catches my eye, and it tells me what I need to know, but it comes with a price of overwhelming fear. I now have the answer that I was looking for, and it deathly frightens me. We are all fools, I say. He isn't just planning on possessing the Queen, he plans on possessing everyone. What have you discovered? Osmodai, asking with concern. He then says, "What do you mean everyone?" As I come out of the trance, still dazed, I yell out. We were wrong about the Reaper zones. They go through a period of fluctuation. Their boundaries aren't fixed. Every so often, when the 7 mystic planets are in alignment, their boundaries shift for a moment. Their perimeter becomes either bigger, or smaller. Eventually, they return to normal. But this time, they will grow to an enormous size, engulfing the surrounding areas, including the Queen, and everyone who will be at the festival tonight. Come midnight, the Reaper zone will expand, and everyone will be helpless from the demon attack. And I don't mean just the festival, This will include all of the neighborhoods near the zone as well. My divine Lord in heaven, there will be too many people to evacuate by midnight. They will have an army of bodies to possess, as well as our queen. She will be the primary target of possession for Mafias Ordium. We need to stop them, but how? Osmodai knows with conviction that my words bring over surmounting risk, but also a chance for survival. He then speaks. She is right, there is no way to save those people in time, but if we can kill the Voldros Hive Master, Mafias Ordium, the evil that he has become will return to the lower realms, causing all of the demons to fall back into Halpius, henceforth, cleansing the threat to the Empire, and saving our lives as well as our queen. Understanding the strategy, I step forward and say, I will have to stop him before he enters the queen, and takes control of her. It will be very dangerous, Gemma responds. He may even kill, or possess you. The body that he has must be with the royal procession, but where? How are they going to do it? All individuals, even those in the crowd, are constantly being scanned when in the presence of the divine court. As a security measure, the Black Tefrith, along with the Red F, are constantly monitoring the divine court when they are in the public eye. So, why aren't our people picking up any of the infiltrators? Somehow, they are using an incantation to mask their presence. Any demon that is even close would have been spotted on the psychic defense net surrounding the queen. We need to get down there and investigate the scene ourselves, I say anxiously. She is right, Osmodai says with great concern. Gemma, we are going to need your assistance in this one. My forces are already en route to you right now as we speak, answers Gemma without hesitation. We will deploy defensive measures around the public when we arrive. I will alert my agents that are already on the site. What about Her Majesty? I demand, but my words are interrupted by Osmodai laughing. He then says, she above all, is the safest at that festival, you see, Her Majesty is never alone, nor weak. I look at Osmodai, perplexed, but before I can comment, Gemma interrupts. I am trying to send a transmission to my security forces already on the scene. But communications seem to be blocked. I think it is already beginning. I am missing something, I answer, still trying to review the information in my mind. Something doesn't add up, but I don't know exactly what it is. I need more time to explore the incantations. That's something that we don't have, Gemma says. I will place my team on high alert, and be prepared for anything. You will not be engaging normal demons, these ones are extremely dangerous, and most of all, extremely dedicated. What do you mean? I ask, as we begin to close our psychic channel. Never you mind, Gemma answers. You will see, but for now, go prove yourself to us, and be the hero that you're meant to be. Now go, I will alert my people to your arrival as well, so that you won't be mistaken as the enemy. Osmodai, be on your guard, we don't know what to expect from Mafias. If you can't stop them, then we must be ready for war. Now, go save our queen, and the Empire. With quickness, we both rise into the night, flying with speed towards the festival, as the image of Gemma fades. I turn to Osmodai, and say, we need to split up and do a visual scan of the location before we land. We can reconvene at the Royal Bluebird Monument of Queen Akiak, the queen who united us after the migration wars, and who also defeated Mafias Ordium. It only seems fitting. Osmodai responds with a nod, as we glide down low to the crowd, masking our presence in our own fashion, each with a spell suited to their nature. Osmodai vanishes into the background, leaving me to take the form of a bluebird that moves silently among the crowd. Seems a good choice, there will be thousands of these things flying in the air at midnight, a commemoration to the Imperium's victory over the night, donated by the Queen's Rejuvenation Foundation. With eyes that look beyond the human range, I can see the auras of the people from the mind of an animal. Everything appears satisfactory, I spot nothing from the crowd, all is clean, and the scene is beauty in the making. I can see nothing but happiness, oscillating in a rainbow tandem of thought, floating from every person. But no demons, nowhere, nothing, not even near the Queen herself. With every possible provision, I find to no avail that I am befuddled and lost. How are they doing this? But the only thing that I can think to do is to go meet up with Osmodai, hoping that he may have found something. But as I start to fly away, I am caught off guard by one of the other bluebirds as it streaks past me. In that brief moment, I look into its mind, and find nothing but coldness, empty and hollow. It causes me to shiver. Then I notice something stranger. None of the animals in the area can be located except for the bluebirds. Then it hits me. The QRF is a symbol started by Queen Akiak, after the migration wars. It was also used as a means not only to help evacuate the 8th city, but it also provides funding to maintain the security seals that block the catacombs leading to Halpius. I soon discover that the birds are more than what they seem as more fly past me, but this time, I catch their eye, and in my wisdom, I see a familiar glare. Those aren't birds in the air, those are something else, something darker. Oh, my divine, those things are. Rapidly, with the realization of my thoughts, I quickly change my direction, flapping my wings to meet Osmodai, but before I can, I find myself under attack. The Voldros were now onto my disguise, as the demons began to surround me. As I fly in and out of the crowds of spectators, a mass of bluebirds follows, hitting several innocent victims and injuring them, causing them to drop. In moments, the bodies of those that lay on the ground begin to rise with life. I turn to see darkness in their eyes, possessed now by the Voldros hive as the birds collided with them. At that moment, a wave of panic surges through the festival as birds drop from the sky attacking, taking over random bodies, trying their best to capture me. I find my escape to be difficult as grasping limbs, wings, and angry eyes attack from all sides. Frantically, I decide to dive upwards, flapping vigorously, only to my mistake to find hands coming towards me as I am carried away. I find myself to be a useless thing, held tight in grasping palms. I have failed, and now the enemy has a prisoner. I glance up, hoping to force the release of my enemy, only to discover that I am being held by Osmodai, my savior. He then says, "I saw them going after you, and figured out what was going on. The birds are now converting into their demonic forms, attacking citizens, turning them into the possessed living dead. Apparently, you upset the party before it could get started. We have to get down there and save them," I yell, transforming back into my original form. They are starting their attack right now. We have to save the Queen. No worry, Gimmel has already deployed her Red F ground forces, Osmodai says, looking up towards the distant night sky. And I think you are about to see what she was talking about in terms of a surprise, a royal one. Remember, the Queen is never alone, and Her Majesty is never unprepared. From above, glimmers of celestial light, and blazing saddles move out of the sky like the apocalypse. They come in hordes, ready to fight, ready to kill. They have caused much fear in the Empire for thousands of years, guardians of the crown. They are the Shin Knights, the Queen's personal defense force. Demonic forces, controlled by Her Majesty, they are only seen at special occasions, but for the most part, the public is not a witness to their existence, only in passing words due to their uneasy natures. What better a way to fight a demon, than with another demon? Instantly, the Shin Knights engage the Voldros hive, showing their strength as explosions of magical chaos are heard throughout the area. Some people run, some stand to watch, while others are attacked, and lost. In the midst of pandemonium, royal security operatives from the Red F attempt to move the Queen to a safe spot. As the Shin Knights become absorbed into the battle, protecting their master, she refuses to leave, yelling out her orders, firm and clear. "Go and protect my people first." From my location, I can see that they fight an impossible battle, their weapons stopping any intrusion towards the Queen, but the numbers are too great. They quickly retreat behind a barricade, taking up a defensive position. I turn my eyes towards the moon, knowing that the midnight hour is close at hand. When that barrier expands, it will allow every demon that is in that Reaper zone to overrun our forces. We will be outnumbered beyond odds, and they will have all of their powers activated as if they were in the forest. Today marks a delicate balance in the existence of our kingdom, for tonight bears the witness of humanity's collapse into perdition. In the wake of violence and destruction, I frantically look around thinking to myself, where is Matthias Ordium? He has to be close. I can see the Queen, but where is he? I can't do anything up here. I need to be close to the target. In mass confusion, I again turn myself into a blue bird, plunging into the heart of the hysteria, hoping not to get killed. I find myself almost afraid to continue the flight, praying not to be spotted as I weave in and out between the carnage. I never imagined that such darkness could be harnessed against our empire. I close my eyes, until I reach the shoulder of a royal guard, just steps from Her Majesty. I wait for him to notice me, but he doesn't as the battle continues to play out. Moving around, I gaze upon the scene, not knowing what to do, but to watch and observe in horror. I try to remain delicate, hoping not to get the guard's attention as he moves about firing upon the enemy. It is then that I see the Queen relaying commands to a small glowing light held upon her third eyebrow. Amazing, she is actually directing the battle, telepathically speaking to the Shin Knights. While she is distracted, it leaves me time to search the area around her, focusing my deeper psychic senses, making sure not to be detected. I look over at the Reaper zone, feeling the push of an evil presence, ready to attack the troops commanded by Matthias Ordium. They are just on the other side of the protective wall, waiting for the last 5 minutes to vanish before the coming of midnight. When that time comes, they will rush the crowd and take what they want by force. We will all be possessed. Something that I can't let happen. Then an epiphany: I'm the key to finding Matthias Ordium. He will come to me, for I am the Book of 357. He may want the Queen, but my gut feeling tells me that he may want me even more. That means, there is a chance that I might be able to draw him out, that is, if I can use myself as a decoy. But how am I going to do that with all of this fighting going on? Desperately, I try to think of a way to get the attention of my enemy, only to hear in the distance the chiming of bells. The midnight hour has arrived. From the Reaper zone, the howling of the dark spawns are heard, as a red field of energy engulfs the crowd. Screams of terror resound from beyond the protective wall. Demon hordes are coming to claim our souls, and all I can do is sit here and watch. But in the middle of fear and anger, I find the courage to muster an idea, one that I am sure to get the attention of our evil guest. If he wants the book, I will give it to him. I think about the pages within me, calling upon the spirit of 357 to come forth, and to reveal its magic to the eyes of others, as well as to Matthias Ordium. Quickly, I feel a surge of energy that starts to overwhelm my senses. I become so engrossed in my focus, that I lose concentration with the world around me, and fall to the ground, blacking out. In the precepts of my mind, I see the event horizon of a wave of consciousness moving towards me, gradually becoming larger until it overwhelms my senses and reality. The force of the book has been unleashed, and I find myself trying to ride its currents as I am pulled into a psychic storm deep within the pit of my subconsciousness. I know that somewhere, The spirit of the book resides within me. I must find it to discover the answer to drive back the enemy into the Reaper zones, before it is too late. I glide through the pages held within my mind as I did before, but this time I am looking for practical magic, not information. This knowledge will be found in those pages closer to the nexus point, where all 357 scrolls are weaved together to create the core matrix. These incantations are protected, guarded, and very dangerous. Here, in my mind, I find myself exploring a world that is not a part of me, for I am in the mind of the book, a consciousness within my own consciousness. The truth is almost too much to bear, but the Book of 357 is a living creature, a servant of light, born of the magic contained within these pages. I had discovered its true secret. It was more than just alive, it was a part of the Divine One, linked somehow to the Unity Gates, the true keeper of ancient knowledge. My mind and body housed another, I was a host, and in essence, possessed, but still in control. Ironic that I would become that which I used to hunt, but now for the good. Through glowing triangular arches, I move past the various sections, my eyes searching for something that will stop the expansion, possibly blocking the demons from entering the city. Only the spirit of the book can answer that question, but in order to achieve this goal, I will have to face it personally. I need a guide to help me, and what better a guide than the guardian of the book itself, that is if it doesn't kill me first. It doesn't take long for me to find the entity that is the spirit of 357, it must have known that I was coming, for I find it here, ready to greet me. I look upon its brilliance, form and light. I can see its divine connection, and know that I am in the presence of something that I have yet to comprehend. With nothing to lose, I speak. I need your help to stop Mafia Sordium, or many innocent lives will perish. Please help me save them. The entity remains silent, as I stand there, waiting for a reply. I then say in anger, "Why aren't you answering me? How can I stop him?" A grin suddenly moves over the face of the spirit, as it begins to change form into the one figure I did not expect, Mafia Sordium. What is this? How can this be? All souls that pass through the pages of this book have their minds impressed upon the will of the Great Guardian. In essence, I am more of the people who have added wisdom to this book. I am an amalgamation of all the souls who have put a part of themselves into these pages. You asked the question of stopping Mafia Sordium, so I am he who has become the answer in which you will seek, the one you wish to stop. And yes, destroy. I do have your answer, but it is perilous, and could cause more trouble than good. Are you willing to risk your whole kingdom on the faith that you will save the day? How strong is your bond with the divine? Strong enough, I answer back with a snip. The entity smiles, mocking me. It then says, "Good, pray that you succeed." Touching the hands of the angelic-looking creature, I begin to feel a tingle that steadily centers onto my chakras. The Kundalini energy moves up my spine until it reaches the crown of my head, opening a gate to my soul. It is at that moment that I not only see the world through the eyes of Mafia Sordium. I am Mafia Sordium. Memories move through my mind, associating places, people, and something else that I did not expect. The man explained to me to be the tyrant of the Imperium, was in fact a good man once, before history morphed him into the demented soul that he is now. He was a man of peace dedicated to the Empire, until the migration wars where he found himself at odds with his greatest enemy, Queen Akiak, his sister. No one knows how the battle between the two siblings began. It happened around the ending of the migration wars, but the roots of their anger shook the foundations of the empire. Royalty blood moved through his body, giving him a well-defined connection to the masters of magic. The golden circle was nothing more but a defined limitation. So, he took it upon his own to reorganize, and to create a new golden path for himself by exploring the old knowledge. After the wars, he dedicated himself to the 8th city and its growth, helping to bring about its golden era. I find it strange that in the midst of his rising star, he became lost to darkness, but something else is here, something hidden. Another evil standing next to Mafia Sordium, one so dark that it consumes the warmth around me, for what I feel is the demon within him. The great evil known by a name, the one who possessed him. I now know this name, and even more, I know how to use it as a weapon. For in our wisdom, we had forgotten what we were truly fighting. I had hate in my heart for the death of my mother, and I wanted to kill the enemy, all of the demons, all of the evil that befell our empire, but I had forgotten not to define them by hate, but by the love that they hated. I hated him, Mafia Sordium, and his allegiance to the Daath Masters. But yet it was he, I had to thank, or better yet, the love which he had for his sister, and the kingdom. I had now discovered something that I could use, a weapon against the darkness. Slowly, I begin to regain consciousness, still holding my avian form, too weak to move. With fortitude, I gradually start to get my bearings, noticing that the fighting has become more intense. I look up to see several Red F vehicles flying people out of the area. The Shin Knights and the royal forces continue with no avail to battle against the demon hordes as they are about to break through the last barrier. I can see the emergence of cracks in the wall, as the esoteric shields begin to fail from the Reaper Zone's expansion. I look to see a black ooze crawling over the barrier, creeping across the ground, devouring all in its path, for it has begun, the crossing of evil, into our empire. With their abilities increased beyond what their possessed bodies can hold, all demons soon vacate their victims as they regain the full power of their demonic natures. They stand before us in their true forms, grasping in their clutches a kingdom, and next, our souls. A brief break is called forth by the demons in their assault, causing hostilities on both sides to recede, and rest. They wish to celebrate and gloat, showing us humility in our defeat. Soon, I see Mafia Sordium appearing from their ranks, mocking our queen as he speaks, his voice echoing upon the winds of war, laughing. Ah, my dear Majesty, how we have fallen from grace, and on such an auspicious evening. But before I destroy you and everyone in this pathetic imperium, I want to see just one tear from your face to feed my pride. Your festival marks my arrival and your departure, but no worry, your kingdom will be left in good hands, your hands, that is after I take you, and your body in full possession. Goodbye your Majesty, and oh yes, long live the Queen. Gradually, Mafia Sordium makes his way past the security blockades, his hands extended as they begin to grow like black branches, stretching out for its victim. Behind him, shadow spawns march in procession, mouths open wide with fangs. Cloaked under royal garments and lavish apparel, our Majesty pulls two swords from underneath, their crystal surfaces glowing with energy. Soon, the Shin Knights appear, encircling her, followed by the royal guards, ready to defend their queen. Then, as if taken by the hand and led to some final conclusion, I stand, transmuting back into my original form. Needless to say, I startle the guards into a defensive posture as they immediately draw their weapons upon me. But as they move forward to attack, they are halted in their pursuits by Her Majesty, before the triggers can be pulled. I immediately bow, showing my appreciation and respect with a candid gesture. I then swiftly proceed to explaining myself, that is, before she changes her mind. I dearly beg your Majesty's forgiveness for this intrusion, and hope that you will find it in your heart to disregard the rudeness of my arrival, and its consequent behavior, but with all due respect, I don't have the time to explain, therefore, I am going to speak this incantation to save our lives. Now pray that it works, or we are all dead. I close my eyes, with the spirit upon my breath, falling into a deep trance, speaking. Adonai, and the celestial spirits of the ancient clans of Tephrith. From the balanced cross manifested by the guardians of the divine scrolls, the crown of the divine Lord, keeper of the truth and our eternal light, manifest into the night, and bring forth the day. In the name of our holy union, in the name of the divine, I invoke out of love, the heart of Tephrith. The words echo throughout the area, causing crashes of sound, then musical tones to bellow out amongst the crowd. The magical notes play out continuously, creeping through the city until its vibrations saturate every corner. They continue to move towards the center, bouncing into every building until they reach the Pyramid Palace, entering into the Unity Gate below. In tandem, the notes start to dance, focusing their energy onto the aura of Ozogara City's esoteric shield. With speed, they build in frequency until they resemble the beating of a heart. I soon discover that I am not in control, as it takes on a life of its own. Then, in a blazed miracle, the force within the gate begins to swirl, until it consolidates to become a large ball of energy, rising into the air until it finds itself directly over the city. From incantations long forgotten, their presence becomes known to all as the demon horde stops in its tracks, pausing as lightning consumes the sky, their attention drawn towards a quick resolution. I turn towards the sphere of energy hovering above the center of the city, speaking the last incantation to activate the spell, but nothing happens. I am stunned, foolishly letting my guard down. With haste, I regroup, drawing my sword to witness evil transmogrifying as it gathers its strength to fight. Jumping high above, I land several feet from Mafia Swordium as he alters himself into something horrific, regurgitated from the putrid bowels of hell. In resilience, I stand, waiting for the entity to consolidate its form, as dark claws from within its torso reach out, tightly gripping my throat. With voracity, I continue to struggle, as my senses begin to see behind the Voldros, an agent of the first enclave to the Daath Masters. In that instant, the true face behind Mafia Swordium is revealed, the demon who is the empty soul where once stood a man of great good. Spoiled and betrayed by those in his own kingdom, the eighth city became his tomb, and now, he had been reborn to bring destruction. But as the demon moves closer to consume me, it says, "When I eat your soul, the book will become a part of me. All of your souls for me and my children. We shall consume your kingdom, and you, my dear, shall be my first blood victim." The demon squeezes tighter, moving closer to my face, its breath making me sick with nausea. I try to resist, but start to feel weak, as it slowly drains my life. Faintly, with enough strength, I hear its words, as it continues to speak, mocking my defeat. "They should have trained you better, but no matter, when I have discarded your dead and useless carcass, I will take great pleasure on feasting upon your queen. I will eat her soul, and then I will know the mind of all queens, especially my old hated acquaintance, that is, my sister. Even more benefit, it will be as if I killed her with my own hands. All of humanity will be a gift to my dark lords, and by that evil blessing, I shall live, forever. Then maybe you should learn to stop talking so much." The voice comes from the queen, her blurred shape coming from atop in great speed. With strength, she takes both of her blades, pushing it deep within the eyes of the creature, causing it to relinquish me. As I fall, it also knocks Her Majesty to the ground, the demon bellowing in great pain. Hitting together, Her Majesty and I both roll over, the beast towering above us. She then turns upwards to the heavens, her voice yelling out, "Open the gates of Tephrith! Open the gates of Tephrith! Open the gates of Tephrith!" Without warning, the bright sphere of energy hovering over the city, mixes with the magic of our queen's voice, causing a gust of wind that invokes flashes of energy to become thought and spirit. Overhead, in the illuminated sky, now bright, the sphere activates to become a replica of the sun, Tephrith. With fierce resolution, the beast roars in agony, shattering like glass, each shard and entity, their shadowy figures dissolving into the ground, dead. I wait to ensure that the beast is defeated, carefully looking over the debris with my eyes, as my body falls to the ground in exhaustion. I later awake to see the rising of daylight, the horns of the morning gavel being heard throughout Ozogara, signifying the end of the night, and hopefully, our war. In the aftermath, I find myself sore, sitting, but alive, and in amazement. I turn to see Her Majesty staring at me with her entourage, closely behind, the Shin Knights included. Red F ground troops are seen rushing towards the scene, concerned with securing the location and reporting to their superiors. Many of them reference to the Queen as I sit back, not knowing what to do, or even knowing what will happen. How long have I been out? I glance around to see the Shin Knights watching over me, waiting for any type of hostile move, but they get none, as the Queen approaches, her swords housed back within their sheaths, recovered, still stained with blood. With curiosity, she walks towards me, the royal guards behind her. Gesturing to the Shin Knights, the Queen gives an order causing the massive beasts to retreat from my presence. Quickly, they vanish in a mist of black smoke, leaving Her Majesty, and I, to talk alone as she dismisses her guards, and those around her. I bow, lowering my head, showing respect for the crown. It is then that she says, "Strange to find one such as you on this battlefield. But bird, or not, methinks more of not, for in all honesty, it doesn't really matter, my unusual friend, our little dragonfly. But a name does not cast a light upon deeds, only actions will, and this night, you have done for us a great honor, for not only do I owe to you my life, but the life of a kingdom as well. For your sacrifice has aided in its survival, and our way of life as we know. But it will come with a price, and for this, I am truly sorry." Looking over to my side, I can see a crowd, as survivors from tonight's ordeal take witness to a sight they have never seen before. Me. TV cameras, reporters, onlookers, and more who had been at the festival, stand behind barricades, wondering about tonight. And better yet, what am I? In the mass confusion of the battle, I had completely forgotten, I am not from this realm, and my appearance attested to that fact, as shock runs through the faces of those watching me. I begin to feel out of place, as I turn, hoping to slip away, but before I can, I am stopped by the overwhelming sound of cheers, whistles, and loud voices yelling into the air acknowledging me, even with the truth before their eyes, knowing that I am a realm rider. Gently, the Queen steps to my side, and says, "Your mentor Takashi was correct when he told you that we were set upon a new age, this empire and you as well, my dear. You are the gateway that will lead this kingdom into new beginnings in which you have yet to comprehend. You will never fight this battle alone, my dear little dragonfly. He is correct, you know, look at them. Our people need you, this Imperium, it needs you, and as well, so do I. But look at me, my queen, look at them, how can they still accept me, why do they accept me, why do you?" My answer begets a smile upon her face, giving the only reply. "Because you are their hero. Dragonfly. You will find that responsibility such as this to a kingdom can be most rewarding as well as taxing in its own, but that is something you will discover in due time." The Queen looks up, directing my attention to Osmodai, hovering beyond the range of immediate detection. In a slight gesture of gratitude, he tips his hat, knowing that we will see each other again, and with a blink of an eye, he is gone. I turn to the Queen, and ask, "So, what do I do now?" The Black Tefrith knew this day would come, as did your mentor Takashi. As to your need of discovering a destiny, I can grant many things in this kingdom, including life and death, but as for an answer to a question solely meant for you, I have no such power to give, for I too am a servant of the Divine One, as you are too, my dear. I knew your mother. She had originally been chosen to be the hero of our kingdom, but as you know, plans change. She was a good person, and a value to this empire that can never be replaced, but she is not here anymore, and the burden of her once great mission must now fall to her daughter. But as always, the choice is yours, and they, an empire, is waiting for a reply. So the question still remains. What are you going to tell them? What are you going to tell them, my dear Bessie Cranach? With caution, and a little trepidation, I walk forward, not knowing what letters to build, what words to create, and what sentences to gather for millions upon millions who now know that a being from another realm, a realm rider, has come to be among them. Before the cameras, people, and all, I bare my soul to an empire. I make a pledge to render protection against the evil of the night, demonic, or human, who threaten all. I am the vigilante who gives no mercy for those who hide behind lies, living on the backs of the weak and innocent. For a new age has come upon humanity, and I will help to lead the way as a hero for the people in the memory of my mother. My hero. When you wake up today and read the newspapers, and see the TV broadcasts, or hear the truth spoken from the radios, your computers, social media, mobile phones, esoteric monitors, and all manners of magic and technology that can send information, you will question, how can this be, how can I be, this traveler from a far-off land? A warrior that holds the night at bay, to vanquish evil into the light of Tefrith, and destruction. How can this be? No choice, because it has to be. So let darkness beware of my presence, and be on your guard, spawns of hell that come forth into this kingdom, for I am your angel of death, for I am the dragonfly. End Royal Record. Imperial City. Ozogara. City Kingdom Time. 12:45 OCNT, Ozogara City, Night Time. 3rd Tier, Ozogara Reaper Zone. Monk 12th Level, Bessie Cranach, Shrine of Protected Light, SOPL. 7th Order of the Seraphim Dragon. Priesthood of the Black Tefrith.
So, concludes our journey into the 7 cities. But try and never forget, that the night is always waiting. Doors will open.